Good evening, everybody. Lovely to see you all this evening. Thank you for coming. My name's Stan Qantas. I'm from Sol Results, and I'll be sharing with you information tonight about subdividing and adding value to property and creating wealth. I just want to check that we're in the right class. So we're in the subdividing property and creating money class. Yes? Yes. Good. Wonderful. We've handed out some WEA notes in a moment as well. But before I do so, I'd just like to go around the room and ask you what you'd like to get tonight. Because there'll be people here with a variety of experiences. Some will have no experience at all with real estate and subdividing, and some people have some experience. Just out of curiosity, who here has no experience at all with subdividing or real estate? Put your hand right up. Wow, everybody, good. Excellent. I need to go around and sit. I consider myself a total novice. I've been doing this for a number of years, but I was never trained in this. I'm not in any way a planner or anything like that. I'm just like you guys. I had no idea how to do it, and over the years it's been very lucrative for me. It's provided me with a lot of benefits in wealth and income, and I creating real estate. Before I do so. Sol Results, I've given you an introductory sheet. We've been around for 11 years. Our core focus is coaching, mentoring and training. So we enjoy doing business coaching, life coaching, speaking, training and mentoring people. And the reason we enjoy it is because that's how we achieved our success many years ago. I was working very hard in a small business, and I managed to get myself a business coach, and that coach taught me change my life completely in a magnificent way. So we're very passionate about sharing that information. And of course, one of the aspects of mentoring and is going to be on real estate tonight. So perhaps if I go around the room and just the odd person just share with me what you'd like to specifically learn tonight. And then see if during the evening I can incorporate that. So you, sir, what's your key learning? What would you like to be key learning for tonight?
I've always got had an interest in it, but never really actually just chased it.
Yeah.
Actually,
So you've had the interest and you've never actually
not done anything about it. So
yeah.
the ins and outs of subdividing, price, and what sort of sizes of councils and.
Yes. Good. Yeah, good question. And I think, based on before everyone putting their hands up, I'm relieved none of you are really experienced developers, because I'm not either. But I do I've done a lot of this over the years, and you don't need to know a lot. You just need to know the real basics, and then you need to surround yourself with the right people to do it, and then everybody can do it. Yourself, sir, what are you here for tonight?
Yeah, I'd like more info on perhaps ideal suburb to subdivide, whether lower socioeconomic, perhaps higher, or
yeah. Okay. Many suburbs are ideal. The most ideal thing you can do is learn to get to know them really well, because there are some suburbs more conducive to subdivision than others, and that happens. Some councils get aggressive and change zoning and say, yeah, we want land to be subdivided, and other councils go, no, we don't want it as much. Like, for example, I used to look at Broadview, but then Broadview rules changed a few years ago, so I don't go there anymore. Now I go to Vale Park because they're more aggressive, they're keen to develop. So you're right, there are some areas that are more conducive than others. Yourself, sir, what are you here for tonight?
Really, it's just basically how to go about it, but also some of the issues next to these things to watch.
Yeah. If I can impress one thing upon you all, is the importance of not doing it alone. There's a wisdom that I learned years ago, and that is whenever you do something like this, it's specialised knowledge. So it's important that you have somebody with you. Somebody said to me once, they said, you alone can do it, but you cannot do it alone. Very wise wisdom, very good wisdom. So I took that on board and realised that the importance to success is making sure that you have good people around you that can assist you in this area and pay them their consulting fee. Yeah. Yourself, ma'am, what's key learning you want to have tonight?
Just getting information, I think, about, as the other story said.
Yeah. Do you have a property or you want to look for a property? Sorry? Yeah. So you have a property that you wish to look at with a potential subdivide. Good, excellent. Yourself, Sam?
Yeah, we've got a property whether to subdivide to get half of it as a perfect house for us and selling off the other half, or just that style of thing, or whether to subdivide the whole lot to make money to buy the
Yes.
perfect house.
Okay.
So,
That comes down to, and I'll talk about that later, is having a feasibility study. Doing, sometimes it's better to just sell it as it is. Sometimes it's better to subdivide and get the land and sell the land. Sometimes it's better to subdivide and build. And so you've got to do your numbers and see what is the best for you. Yourself, sir?
Same much to say, I own a property that I land on the side, so subdividing it, whether to knock the house down, build townhouses in it, or whether just build one house, or just sell the land as it is.
Yeah. Very important decision. If you can make a decision that's purely objective and just financial, you'll make the right decision, as opposed to being emotional. And who else? You, back, sir.
Yeah, we've got a property which we'd like to subdivide, so
Yes.
yeah, we'd like to know whether we subdivide and just sell the land or build on it and stuff like that.
Yes.
See if both done that
This
one.
property, have you recently bought it for that purpose, or did you just have it over a number of years?
Bought about 12 months ago for that purpose.
Okay. The very first lesson I'm going to teach everybody is you never buy a property until you've done the numbers first. So you do the numbers, you work out how much you'll make, then you buy it, because it may not work. So a lot of times I may look at 20, 30 properties and not buy them, and then buy the one that works for me because I do the numbers and it stacks up. You can still make it work, sir. You can still make it work, but just be careful. You must buy, you must buy with the numbers working for you, not try and make the numbers work later, because that may not work. What's in your benefit now, sir, is the market is moving forward. So real estate in this next environment, the next year or two, is very forgiving.
Yeah.
So you're in a period of forgiveness. So if you've made any little errors, it'll probably wash out over the next couple of years, because we're growing at about probably about 5 or more % this year. Currently sitting at 4. So which is good. So I want to just emphasise that I'm not a financial advisor, and it's an educational course. I can't give you specific advice for your finances. You need to go to your accountant and so forth for that. But I'm going to let you know the basics that you require to make a good decision about subdividing land. And the way I'm going to structure the course is the first half I'm going to give you some theory and notes about subdividing property, and then we'll have a little break. And the second half I'll go more into the mindset, some wealth principles that I think are very important, because a lot of people, they get the information on how to make money in real estate, but they don't do it because they don't have the right mindset. Whatever that is, they don't have the right thinking process, and so they don't ever do it. And so it's very important to have the strategies and the knowledge, but also the mindset, the way you should think if you want to create money in real estate. Now, at the end of the evening, I'll let you know about a course that I'm running, and there's a gentleman at the back there in a nice red jacket, Amanda, so you can be always welcome to ask him questions. We're running a real estate course over 5 nights in late August, so we'll let you know about that at the end of the night. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yep. I want to share with you, I have a business partner called Peter, and he's got an Uncle Peter, right? And the same name, same surname. And it's interesting because he was sharing the story of his uncle with me. And he goes, his uncle recently passed away in his 80s, but when he came here, he was a Greek immigrant, and he came here something like 50 years ago. And he had no money, a little suitcase, and no education. Nothing. And yet, over the next 40 odd years, he accumulated more than 40 properties, freehold. More than 40. Can you imagine that? That were his properties. And he asked him, how did you do this? And he go, he didn't have an education, he didn't know any of this stuff. He noticed when he first came here, when he rented a house, and he noticed other people needed a room. So he would rent a room and put men in that room, 3 or 4 men, and charge them each some money, and put women in another room, while say he had no rent. right? He would rent out rooms in his house. And then he saved up enough money and bought a house. And he kept doing the same. Because they had 3 or 4 bedrooms, they didn't need 3 or 4 bedrooms. And he did that initially to establish himself. And then he worked out that there's more money in developing property, in subdividing. So he went and found out, and he would go to the council and he wouldn't even know how to write. And he would just, he would know how to communicate and understand what planners wanted and find the property and go to them and sketch, what can I do this, can I do this? And then go with his architect and so forth, and he would get it through and he would start making money in subdividing. And then of course, the rest is history. He accumulated quite a lot of wealth. And so what that says to us is we've got to be educated, obviously, in knowing how to do this, but we don't need an education. What we need is to learn from somebody and to surround ourselves, whether it's to have a team of people, whether he had his architect, his builder, and so forth around him to help him. And so he managed to create a small fortune. And so that's why I say, for me, property subdivision and development and renovations, and so there's many ways to create wealth out of real estate. I started off and I've always been a novice. I've done many projects, as I'll show you later. Over the years, I've done a number of properties. I've done renovations and subdivisions and built townhouses and new homes and all sorts of things. And the way I've done it is to know, you've got to know the basics and you can surround yourself with the right people. Don't ever skimp on knowledge. You're not having the right people around you. So I want to reassure you that if I can do it, you can do it. In fact, I started I was in a very low socioeconomic area. Where I lived when I was small, I still recall at 12 years old, kids would be shooting heroin. There'd be, I remember in my high school, somebody got stabbed in the toilet. I remember a gang coming and taking over our school, and just rocked up. One gang just came. So I was born in a very low socioeconomic and environment. That was quite distressing. But what I had was a very good family. I had a good mum and dad and sisters, and so that was very comforting. But I always wanted to escape that environment and get out of it and create wealth. And I remember when I was living, we were raised in an environment which was, it was tough. There was trust homes, etc. I don't have anything against that environment. It was tough. And I remember saying to my dad, "I'm going to live in that area." Dad would say, "Oh, that's where the wealthy people are, son. You can't go there." And it took me 20 years, but I got there. I got into the area that I wanted to be, and I was determined to find a way. I remember my very first home, and I had no idea about real estate. I actually bought it for the wrong reason. It was just an emotional reason. I wanted to live near my sister. That was the reason I bought it. I didn't negotiate the price. I didn't even know the value. I had no way of understanding how to add value. I didn't know about subdividing, nothing. I just bought it because I wanted to be a couple of streets away from my sister. And it wasn't a good investment. However, I got most of my money back after about 5 years because real estate is forgiving when you hold it long enough. It's very forgiving. And the first enlightenment I had to real estate was when I did a course. So I started doing courses, like you are here tonight, wanting to do courses. And I remember the course was a company called Morgan Pacific, and they were teaching principles of how to renovate. They were teaching how to subdivide and develop. And I'd go to Sydney and spend thousands of dollars and go and spend time with these teachers and learn how to do it and come back here and practice doing it. And I was very motivated because I wanted to expand my knowledge. I wanted to change my thinking. I wanted to hang around the right people. And so I began to do that, and that helped me to change. Initially, I thought, if I had 1 or 2 properties, I'd be pretty happy. But then I had accumulated a dozen properties very quickly over, I think it was like a couple of years, and I thought, well, this is good. So one of the things I want to encourage you is to expand your mind, expand your thinking, because whatever you think about, you're going to create. Who here has 1 or 2 investment properties? 1 or 2? Enough. Who here has 10 or 20, 10 or more? Right? So begin thinking that way. I know it sounds a little bit out there and a little bit in a big way out. But if you start thinking that way, that's where you'll end up. Has anyone experienced that? You begin to think of a goal and the years go by and you end up getting there. Has it experienced that? You think of a goal, whatever it is. It's a holiday, car, yes ma'am? Yeah. You experienced that?
Yeah.
Just think of a goal and right now it might seem unreal. And then as the years go by, you end up having that goal. You see, we always overestimate what we can have in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And so the secret is to have big dreams. And time will deliver them to you. And so, I had to, one of the things I had to do was get out of this, I call it cultural hypnosis, which is the way I was raised. We didn't have any knowledge about real estate, about subdividing, about investing, about renovating, nothing like that. And I had to change my thinking, and so that's why I did courses and met people so I could learn it. Now, as I'm speaking tonight, I want you to be very careful about what thoughts come in your mind. You know, I've heard this before, you know, I know what to do. However, are you doing what you know? People say, yeah, it's not the right time because what if interest rates go up, unemployment's going up, what if it's a bubble and it just explodes? No, it's never the right time. But the time right now is perfect if you buy correctly. You see, real estate, I was buying real estate just after the GFC when everybody was too frightened to buy real estate. I was buying it because it's irrelevant what is happening. As long as you know what you are doing with numbers, you buy real estate. So you can buy it in the bad times. In fact, the bad times I prefer, because when the good times come, I've actually bought very well. And remember, the knowledge that you get is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. The power comes from action, right? Going out and doing it. And so, there's always a reason why we want to, you know, subdivide property, create wealth, create money. And I want to go around the room and ask you, what is the reason? Because that's what's going to drive you. If you don't have a strong enough reason, you won't do it. There's no reason to do it. So what's a strong reason for you, sir? Why do you want to do it?
Well, there's 2 or 3 reasons.
Yeah, good.
One of them is my other half wants to do some of this sort of gear, we thought we'd do it together, so
Yeah.
I'm here learning this stuff.
Excellent.
Doing something else.
Yeah. Compelling reason. What's the reason there? What do you want to do?
Have a nice house to live in.
Yeah.
And one next door to rent.
Fantastic. So have a nice house and one next door to rent. Yeah. Self-said. Why do you want to do it?
Security.
Security. Yeah. To have a financial wall. To have some money or equity that you have there for a rainy day, for whatever you need. And yourself, ma'am, why do you want to do it?
Same.
That's right. Lady in the red.
Oh, same sort of reason as the other lady had one to rent it.
Yeah. And why would you do that? Why would you want to rent one out?
Some income coming in and
Yeah.
your next door will be good.
Yeah. Next door, you keep an eye on it, and income coming in, because there's nothing like passive income, is there? Every 2 weeks or every month, income comes into your account, and you haven't needed to work for it. And so therefore, you do that a few times, and all of a sudden, you don't need to work. It's your choice if you work. Yeah? Do we all want more choice? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And real estate can give you that. So, you know, subdivision is a way to create some instant equity, right? Instant wealth. Within a year or so, you can create it. But even if you didn't do that, but I'm going to recommend you do it, of course. You know that if you bought a property and it was worth, say, $400,000, what's it likely to be worth in a decade? Double. Yeah, it's likely. Very likely based on history. It might be 9 years, might be 10, might be 11, might be 12, but it's likely to double over that decade. And so, did you know that, so you buy a property, just say it's $400,000, and you've had to put in, say, 20%, which is $80,000, plus your stamp duty, say $100,000 of your money or equity. So you put in $100,000, you bought a property for $400,000, and that $400,000 in 10 years' time, a decade, is now worth $800,000, isn't it? So your money, your $100,000 that you put in, has made you how much? $400,000. Yeah? Does that make sense? So you've got, you bought a property. Alright, yeah. I'll go with this one. Alright, so and you bought a property for 400,000, to buy that you've had to put in, it's 20%, say 80,000 plus your stamp duties, etc. Say 100,000. And you can get higher LVRs if it's your first property and you have a good income. You can get 95% lend. Okay, but I'm just assuming the standard lend. So you've used 100,000 either equity in a property you have or cash. You bought something, and over that decade, which might be 9, 10, 11, 12 years, whatever, it'll be worth, say, around that based on historical results. And so you've created 400,000, haven't you? Yep. So you've converted $100,000 into $400,000 over a decade. Is that good? Very good.
Did you say 700,000?
Sorry?
Did you say 700,000? You turned your 100,000 to 700,000 because you borrowed the 300,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've got a $300,000 debt. You still got a $300,000 debt here.
Okay.
You see, unless you paid it off, it's different. But you've got the bank's got $300,000 of debt, and generally with investment properties, your aim is to just get interest only and let the value go up. Or the recommendation is always pay off your home, but your investment properties, the recommendation is keep it interest only. So the good thing is you've put in 100 grand, whether it's cash or equity, and you've converted it to 400,000. Right? Pretty good, eh? And you've made that money while you sleep. You've rented it out. There'll be a little bit of negative gearing, of course, initially. The first couple of years, you'll get money in from rent, but you'll be paying interest, and you might be out a little bit. You might be out $80 a week or $100 a week just until the rents catch up, and then after about maybe 3 years, then eventually it'll be cash flow neutral, and so you won't have to put any money in. But generally, it's a very good investment for just putting it aside. Now, but what if we did a subdivision strategy? Has anyone ever done numbers in a subdivision strategy? Yeah? All right, let's just say I'll use an actual example that comes to mind right now. Right? This is an actual $300,000 property. Okay? Now, so you've got a $300,000 property, and we'll assume once again that you get a 20% lend, and so an 80% lend. You put 20%, which is 60 grand, plus settlement costs, which usually is around 5%. So 5% of 300 is 15,000. Yeah. Plus your 20%, 60. So a total of 75,000. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does anyone need to know how I've derived at that? It's all good. Okay. So you've got 75,000, and you've put that money. The bank has lent you the balance, and you've bought this property. But this property has subdivision potential. Okay. What does that mean? That means you're in a particular area that you've studied, and something about that property you can subdivide. For example, have we all heard of Hammerhead? Oh, that's okay. So, for example, this house happens to be on this side of the land a bit, creating a bit of a driveway. There's enough space there because you've checked with the council that you can cut off a block of land, and so all of a sudden, 12 months later, you can subdivide and get a block of land. Okay, so 12 months later, you spent some money, and let's just assume this is all very round figures. It might be 22,000, it might be 19, but let's just assume 20,000 to subdivide and get a community title. So we project about a year later, and now we have a property with, like a house, with a block of land. Yeah. And this particular example that I'm thinking of, the house is now, because it's in a particular area, which happens to be, in this case, it was Enfield, it's still worth 280,000, right? The house is still worth it. People will pay that. It was a good block of land. And the block of land itself is valued at 170,000. Okay? So we've got the total value now is how much? 450? Yeah. Right, this is a very lucrative example. Okay, 450. However, let's look at the numbers. How much have we put in? We put in the 75, right, plus the 20, haven't we? Okay, and we've created now, so we've got value of 450, but it's cost us It's cost us 95 grand to put in, plus the loan of, we've still got a loan there of 80%, which is 240, isn't it? Yep. Is there anything else we need to take into consideration? Anything else? So we've got a house and a block of land. We've got a total value of 450,000. We've got we put 75,000 plus 20, and the bank's given us 240. So it's, the total at the moment is cost 335. We put in 335,000. Okay. And so how much have we created in equity? 115. Yeah. Pretty good. Now that's an example. I'm not saying you're going to find these every day. If you keep seeking, you'll find them. Okay? If you know your area and understand what you need to buy. It just happens this particular area now, houses have gone to about 330, they've moved up. And so profitability might go to about 85 now. Right? But a year ago, that's what you're looking at. Okay? So now this is how people create and become wealthy. Right? There's different types of income. There's income you can use with your hands, you're out renovating, you're out building, you're doing things, and there's income that you make in an office. Right? This is what I call office income. Okay? It's just using your mind and understanding your area and all the rules, having somebody to assist you with it, and you create wealth. Is everyone interested in that? Yeah? Good. Okay. Now here's the other thing. If you've created that in just so, how long do you think that can take for you to create? Has anyone got any conceptions about time? Cool, months. How much time of your time do you think it will take? Yeah, you got a consultant. Yeah, very true. Okay, this is in general. This has been my experience. I look for between 1 and 2 hours a week. Normally, it takes me about 3 months to find a property. Okay, so on average, it'll take me about 20 hours to find a property, right? Then of course, like this gentleman said, I have somebody assist me, like a consultant, a town planner, perhaps a builder, somebody assist me with the process. So overall, it would not take me more than probably 25 hours. Now who's got a calculator? Divide 115 by 25, what does that work out to? Over $4,000 an hour. Who would like to keep making over $4,000 an hour? Right, this is how we've got to think, okay? Because we cannot become wealthy making 20 or 30 or $40 an hour. That's our income, that's our cash flow, that's our lifestyle money, right? That's our money to invest, right? No one ever becomes rich through a job, or through 2 jobs, or even a small business, right? The people that become wealthy do it because they, like my dad told me when I was young, and he said to me, son, I want you to make money with your mind. Don't do it with your hands like I did. That was the best wisdom he ever gave me. He goes, learn to make money with your mind. Because that's how the wealthy people do it. They use their mind. And so what you're here tonight is not just to learn strategy, but to learn to use your mind correctly. So you create wealth. Any questions so far? Okay, here's the next bit, which is even more fun. Okay, now we've got this property, we've subdivided it for years. You know, for me, I do it gradually. And it does take me about a year. By the time you get all the government departments to authorise all the SA water and stuff, you can do it quickly. But generally, I'll allow a year. Okay, so here we are. We have this property. At the end of that year, it's worth 450,000. You've got a house. You've got a block of land. Fantastic. What can you do now with this equity? Buy another one. Exactly. You can use that and go on the market and find another property, and you can do it again. Yeah. If you are really motivated and you're very determined, there is every reason you have the capability, using a simple system, to do 1 property every year and have 10 properties in 10 years.
Are
Yes.
you're selling that back block and getting the profit, or are you just going back to the bank to get loan?
Whatever you like. Now, generally, that's a good question, very good question. This back block, a hammerhead block is, what I've experienced over the years is hammerheads, you are better off, they're not as easy to sell. In a hot market they sell, but in a normal market they don't sell as easy. So you're better off building on them. You're better off using that equity and putting some of that equity and building a house. Like for example, if you were to build a house and it was say $200,000, the bank would give you on the contract of building 80% of that, so you get 160. Yeah. So how much do you need to put in? 40, 20%. Yeah. So if it's going to cost you 200 to build, the bank will give you 80%, which is 160, which means you're going to come up with 40,000. But you don't need to come up with 40,000 because now you've got that in equity. So you can use part of this to build. Yeah.
So then does the taxman see that as, because it's all one block, do they see that as both are your homes, or is one a capital gains if you sell?
Now you need to obviously talk to your accountant. There's no tax to be paid until you sell. It's only until you've realised the equity. If you're just holding, there is no tax to be paid because you haven't actually sold it yet. I'm sorry? You haven't made it, yeah, but it's only when you sell. It all depends. I'm talking about investment properties, like something you just buy and invest, which means that, look, if you did this every year and every year you sold a property, you'd probably be classed as a developer. You have to check with your accountant, in which case you pay the tax rate that's applicable to you in your tax bracket. If your intention is to buy and hold every year, and you may sell in years to come because you want to, but that's not your intention for many years, then you'll be classed as an investor, which means what do you get if you're an investor? Capital gains free. There's the first half of your capital gains is not taxed, and the second half is taxed at a rate. Right. But you've got to check with your accountant because he'll know what applies to you.
So I was just thinking that your repayments will come from renting.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, so you've always got to be, right.
Yeah. This strategy works very well,
Yeah.
purely because you're renting this home, and there might be a shortfall which you've got to put in.
Yeah.
Generally, on this sort of home, from memory, it was about $60 a week
Yeah.
shortfall.
Okay.
So it's not a lot to fund $60 a week, $3,000 a year, you pay it on your tax anyway, but you pick up a lot of equity. Yes.
The question I wanted to ask, if it's reasonably hard to sell a hammerhead block,
Yes.
how much harder is it to sell with a house on? Does it make a lot of difference?
It's
Still
for
a
some reason it
difficult
is. Yes, much easier, very easy. Once you have, my experience, and I don't often sell, but this month I've sold one. I haven't hit one because I bought another one yesterday. So it's generally once you build, it's people will buy because they know that there's something there. Yeah, they'll buy it. Yeah. In fact, I had a hammerhead that I sold this month. It was in Collingswood, and I sold it within 2 weeks. Yeah, and I'll show you a photo of it later. A nice little Tudor that I built at the back. Within 2 weeks, gone at my price. I listed it at $550. Got
Is it valued less because it's a hammerhead
Yeah.
than if it was
Normally it is a bit
side by
less.
side?
Yeah, normally it's about 5 to 10% less.
Right.
Yeah, at the back. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
I don't know if this is relevant, but in your
That's okay.
opinion,
All questions are relevant.
okay. In your opinion, say you've got a really old home on that piece of property, needs a lot of work done to it. Is it better to make a hammerhead which it could fit, or get rid of the old home and put two on there?
Yeah, this is where, and I will go in a moment. We'll go through some notes. You've got to do a feasibility, which means you've got to actually see what's more feasible. You've got to do the numbers and say, crunch numbers. If I do this and I renovate the old home and I get it quoted, and how much would that be worth, and then how much is the land worth versus knocking down and building two, what are they going to be worth and what's it going to cost me? So it's purely what's more feasible.
I guess I'm thinking that you're saying it's more attractive to sell a hammerhead, so if we had two attractive
Much easier. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
easier to
definitely.
actually
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah. But in the end, there will be a value to everything. And you need to know, this is where area specialisation is very important. You need to know your area really well.
Yeah.
What is the end value? And you should be really sharp. You should be within 5%. So you know the value of each one. And then you can make a decision. It's not about doing what's going to be more expensive because your costs might be higher. It's doing what's going to be most profitable. And it all depends on your strategy. Because if your intention is to do it and to hold it long term, then yeah, you might want depreciation benefits, which means you might prefer to build two new ones. If there's not much difference between building two new ones and renovating an old one and building one, you might want to build two new ones and you'll get depreciation benefits. Sorry, who's got an investment property again? Investment property. For those that have investment properties, how many of you guys have a QS report, quantity surveyor report? Yeah, yeah, go on. Good, good. Yeah, very important. Whenever you purchase an investment property, always look at getting a QS report. They're about $600, and they help you maximise your depreciation benefits. Yeah, good. Okay, so now we've got it's a year gone by. Now let's project a decade. Should we project a decade? Okay, let's go. Now we just left it. Maybe we've done nothing to the land. We haven't built anything. We just left it as a block of land, perhaps. Or maybe perhaps we want to use some of that equity to build a home. Because that's what I do. I go and go, right, I'll create this equity. I'll build something, and it might be. Recently, I built something. It was 225,000. So I had to come up with 20% of that, which is what's 20% of 225? 45-ish, yeah, and then the bank gave me the rest. So I can use some of that equity with the bank and build a new home. And that'll take another year, about 9 months, well, our year, yeah. So 2 years go by, and now I've got my existing home and a new home that I've built.
In the meantime, that was being rented all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
If you bought that house with a loan on it and you subdivide it, where does the bank consider the loan? Is it on the property, the vacant block, or on the house
Okay.
being divided? Or?
It's a good question. Once it's subdivided, the bank immediately takes that title anyway, because you've got a loan. So as soon as the subdivision comes through, the bank holds that title as well. Yeah.
So the loan against both still?
Yeah, the bank holds both. Yeah. Unless I mean, in this case, not. Unless you created so much equity, or you paid some of it off, and you can release one of the assets and take it in the title. But generally, they hold both. So you've got an option after a year. You can say, well, I'll use that equity and I'll go and buy another property and I'll do the same thing, or I'll use some of it and I'll build now and I'll create a brand new home at the back and I'll rent it and I may keep that for a long term. Yeah.
Just a scenario. You bought the block, 12 months later you subdivided, created your 115. If you then was to use a proportion of that to build the house, so now you have two houses.
Yes.
A year down the track.
Yes.
Would that then generate more equity to be able to move forward? I mean, that's would be the theory, wouldn't it?
Okay. If you use some of this equity and you build a home, yeah, that's a question. Okay. You'll have some equity in that property as well. Yeah, which you'll need to determine what that'll be. So what you do is you need to know your area and you say, what am I going to build in this area to maximise my equity? Because there's no use in this particular area. There's no use spending a lot of money on a very expensive home. You want to keep it to a budget, but still make it a nice home that will sell at the peak price. People will pay for that area, and you can determine how much you'll spend. So you can use some of that money to build, and then you will still have some equity left, and you can use it to buy something else. Right? So you can be building and purchasing something else. So I might have 3, 4 things going on at once, and that's how I do it. I'll have renovation here, a building here, and a building there, subdivision here, and because I'm using the equity that I'm building constructively. Right? So remember, wealth creation is that. It's wealth creation. Okay? You create it in your mind, and you put it on paper, and then it appears reality. Right? It's mathematics. And so if you want to get to a position in 10 years' time where you have whatever it is, $1 million or $2 million in assets, that's how you do it. You create it, because it's too hard to earn. Anybody that becomes wealthy has created their wealth, has not earned their wealth. They've earned money, they've used that money wisely to create wealth. Does that make sense? Right, and that's how they do it. They find ways to create it. So okay, so let's project now a decade out. So we'll assume that's the price at the end of year 1. So let's just go forward 10 years. And so what are we going to have if we did nothing else in 10 years' time? We're going to have an asset worth 900. Okay, this is an assumption that things will double in 10 years as they have in previous 10-year lots, right? But it's a very, look, you can go back 40, 50 years and every decade is a pattern. Okay, so here we are now. We've gone forward 10 years and we've got value of real estate at $900,000. So how much money have we put in? Still this, isn't it? Yeah? Well, really, it's just this. This is and we've created 900, we've got a debt of, what's the debt?
240. Oh, it's just interest only, so it's
240 if you haven't paid anything off. So you've got your debt of 240 here. Okay. So what's your equity here? 660, yeah. So you've got total equity of 660, which includes your 95. Okay. So basically, your 95 has created 660 minus 95, which is 500. Am I good at maths? Yeah, about that much. Yeah. So minus your 95. You put in. Okay. What's it work out to? Is it 565? Yeah. 565 is it? Or 555. Okay. Yeah. So you've converted your 95,000 of the cash that you used, and you've created 555. Is that pretty good for 10 years? Yeah. Now imagine if you had 5 of those. You would have how much? Possibly. Big land tax bill, yes, I agree with you. You would have $2.5 million in equity. Yeah. This is how people become millionaires. They construct it. Now, a good question about land tax. This is where, and I'm going to talk about the power of having a good team, having a good conveyancer on board to assist you with structuring correctly. Because a conveyancer will tell you what entity to buy a property in, to put it in. So, for example, he may choose a trust, he may make it in your name, he may use a combination of your name and a trust, he may have a partnership between you and your partner, your wife, your husband. There'll be different combinations on each property, and the conveyancer can legally help you reduce your land tax bill. Right? So, once again, very important to have a good team around you to assist you. And you might say, yeah, but it costs money to have a team. Yes, it does. It might cost you $300 here and $200 here, and over time it adds up. But what if this team makes you, hundreds of thousands? It's just an investment. They have what's called specialised knowledge that we don't have, and they can assist us. My conveyance has helped me very, very much over the years to save a lot of land tax. It's been very helpful. So, understanding. Actually, here's another number that would be very good for us to remember. See, we need to expand our mind and understand the numbers. So if we created 555,000 over 10 years, right? Now how much is that per year? Just an average. 55,000. How much is that per week? 1,100 a week. So you've created approximately $1,100 a week for how many hours work was it? 25 hours? Yeah. Is that pretty good? Over 10 years?
Yeah.
Is that a good way to think? Yeah. That's the way I think. Whenever I look at property, I look at it takes up very little of my time, but it creates an incredible return. So
Your money is not to be sneezed at, but it's on a declining trend because the cost of money of the period. But,
yes. You've got to put the inflation every year. You're right. However, even when you adjust for inflation, do you think you'll be ahead? Yeah, because if you had that 95,000, and you put it just inflation, put it in the bank at 3% a year, you'd be probably, I don't know what it'd be. You might be 150 grand or something. It'd be way behind.
It would be worth 95,000.
Yeah, you're right. If we adjust it for inflation, you might say that is really worth whatever that is. It might be worth 140, 150 equivalent. Yeah, it's a good point. But it's still a great return. It's still the thing is, the secret is if you have a few of these going. I remember years ago I went up to a developer and I said, Chris, how did you do this? You're doing really well. You're building all these projects and you're wealthy. And he goes, look, I started slow. He goes, first year it was just a property, and then second year I did another one, and third year another one, and then I did more and more and more. And it took me 10 years, he goes, to get to a position where I'm very comfortable. He goes, and he does multiple properties at once now. And so, as I said in the earlier stages, we tend to overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years, because a lot of times we're not thinking 10 years. Has anyone heard of Warren Buffett? Yeah? Have you ever read his book, Snowball? That's incredible books, right? All by Warren Buffett. You know, everything he does is 10-year loss. That's the thing in a year. 10 years. When he bought Amex, 10-year plan. When he bought Coca-Cola, 10-year plan. Everything was 10 years. He never buys it. Even now he's in his mid-80s and he's buying an investment, he's 10 years. I'm not kidding. He's still thinking 10 years. Okay. So, wouldn't it be great to have a better quality of life? Wouldn't it be great to have this essential education, practice it? Who's got kids? Kids? Do it and then teach kids. Yeah? Teach your kids to do it as well. You know, I'm teaching my kids, they're teenagers. My kids, my son's 17 and 13, and they are investing in the share market. I mean, I won't talk shares tonight, but you know, they're making their returns, they know their annual returns, they know their dividends, they work it out. I told them by 21 you'll be self-sufficient. You're going to be able to be investors by 21. I said that's your goal. Don't depend on me, but I'll keep all the knowledge. Yeah. So, wouldn't it be great to become a better you? And if you make all that excess money and you live the standard of life you want to live, wouldn't it be great to help others? Yeah, to contribute, help charity, or whatever that means for you, and to inspire your family and friends. So, I want to. Have we got those notes yet, Sarah? Yeah. Yes. Can we hand them out? Sorry, I don't know where they are. Thank you. Okay. Well, these are the topics I want to cover tonight. Now, I want everybody to get the maximum value you can get tonight. So please, if there's something that you want to ask, please ask. And if I don't know it, Amanda will know it. Amanda will know it, Peter will know it. Don't worry, somebody will know it. So please ask. Don't go home tonight with a question that you had a burning question, because I can't read your mind, but I can certainly do my best to answer your question. Is that okay? And we'll do the break, come and ask. At the end of the evening, come and ask. Don't go away tonight without getting the value. So, okay, so I'm going to talk about area specialisation. I'm going to talk about development of having a property subdivision team around you. I'm going to talk about feasibility studies, council notifications, the goal of achieved block of land, and some examples of successes that I've had, and I'll show you some photos. So let's look at becoming an area specialist. Now, somebody asked, you know, is there some areas better than others? Yes, there is. But a lot of areas are good, right? Like, for example, my experience has been I avoid areas like Burnside Council and that because I find it difficult, but I find areas like the city of Port Adelaide and Enfield pretty good. I find the city of Walkerville pretty good. I find the city of Prospect pretty good. So there's certain councils that are better than others. And so you need to find an area that you are comfortable with, in your price range or borrowing level. Most important thing is, start in one area and get to really know it. Really know it. And you might say, what do you mean by really know it? And what's your name, sir? Richard. I say, Richard, I already know my area. Great, let's go for a drive, let's go for a walk. There's a house for sale. What will it sell for, Richard? You should know within 5% what it's going to sell for. What can you do with this block of land, Richard? You might say, well, I know, I've checked with the council, I know this street, the subdivision, a block of land here is 350 square metres for attached and 450 detached. I need so much frontage, I need so much setback, I need so much open space, I need so much. Does it make sense? You've got to know all these things before you buy. Because if you buy and you don't know these things, you're taking a risk. I have a lady coming to our course end of August. We run the course over 5 nights. And she was saying, I don't know if I should do your course. It's a bit expensive, it's like a couple of grand. I'm there, well, I'm there, what have you done so far? She goes, oh, I've got the money, I just knocked down a house and built 2. I'm like, that's great. Did you do a feasibility? She goes, no. So how do you know you've made money? She goes, oh, I have money. But what if you've lost 50 grand? We had a lady once that lost 50 grand. She went out and did a renovation, she lost $50,000. And then she came to the course and then went and bought a property and made money. Right? So, having money doesn't mean you're going to make money. You've got to create money. That's the secret. People that make money, people that create money. And so, here's how I became an area specialist. I currently specialise in 11 areas, but I started with 1. My very first area was Prospect because I lived in that area. And so here's what I did. I would obviously every Saturday, then it was years ago a newspaper, now you've got a newspaper and internet, which is great. So I would check the paper, I would cut out all the properties I wanted to see, I would put them on a piece of paper, and then I would go out driving every Saturday morning looking at every property. I'd want to learn a number of things. I want to learn, yes, they were for sale, I'd go to auctions and see what they sold for. If something's sold, I'd ring the agent and find out what it's sold for. Generally, if it's an auction, it's not an auction, they have to tell you. The auction process is open to the public. If it was a private treaty, they probably won't tell you. However, if it's a private treaty, what do you ask? I ask, what was the asking price? Did you get close? And you get a bit of a feel what they sold for, right? So you've got to get to know your area. I'd go to the council. These days you can go on a website as well and find out criteria for subdivision in your area. So I go to the council and you speak to who do you speak to the council? Town planner. Yeah. Go to the town planner. They're very accessible. Sit down and you ask them a question. Just say, look, what is your vision for this area? And you go with some examples like this house here. Can I subdivide this house? What can I do with this house? And they'll tell you. You talk about different streets, and they'll go, no, this street here, you need 350 square metres of block. This one here, you can do 300. This one here, you can do 250. So you get to know all your streets, right? So you get some streets are different to others. Main road is normally easier to subdivide in some areas as well. And so you speak to your town planner. You then start looking at properties and start visiting properties. You start walking and you look at them and go, right, I need because you know the criteria. For example, if you're doing how many, what would you need to know? You need to know. Yeah. Will they permit it? How many square metres do you need for a block of land in the back? What else do you need to know? We'll come to that in a moment. Yeah, we'll come to that in a moment.
Access to it.
Yeah, access. How wide does the driveway need to be? Like usually they're about 5 metres, but that's the usual criteria. But I'll show you in a moment. You can get around that in some cases as well. So you need to know how much land do you need? How wide does the driveway need to be? How much you need to calculate the land that will be the driveway needs to come off. You can't include that land in your block of land. That's separate. Yeah. So you need to be able to do calculations and say, right, this is going to be 5 metres by say 20, so that's 100 square metres, say. That comes out, and then you need to calculate how many square metres you're going to have there, and this existing property, whether it's going to be on the sufficient land as well. So what I used to do is go to open inspections, and I used to look, and I used to walk in front, and I used to calculate 1, 2, and I used to sit and, the driveway is sufficient. And then when the open inspection was on, or if there was no one in the house, I'd ring the agent, can I walk in the house? No worries. So you go to the property, and I would measure the back of the house. I'd go and measure I'd make the front one a courtyard, and then I'd measure, I'd work out how many square metres the block of land would be. I'd then walk and measure the driveway. Does it make sense? And then I'd make sure. So it was all rough, but I got an idea that yes, I could do something with this. I could always confirm it with my architect, or confirm it with the town planner. Does it make sense? Yeah, but I did that rough calculation so I could work out the numbers stack up. Now, so area specialisation is you need to be able to go to any house in your area. You should know what it's going to sell for. You should know the potential, how you can subdivide that property. The other thing I did, and I discovered this was a way that I could create lots of land, was I always loved it when there was a house for sale and one for sale next door. Why is that? Why is that good?
Close together, it's easier.
Because it gives you more land to play with. So sometimes I would buy both properties. And I've got examples where I buy both, and that would give me sufficient land to create a driveway in the middle. Yeah, this is called consolidation. Yeah. So you create sufficient land, and then I could build 2 at the back. Yeah. Keep the front ones and build 2 homes at the back. In fact, even today, whenever I buy something which has, or I'm about to buy something with land, I'll knock on the neighbour's door and say, look, I'm going to buy this. Would you look at selling some land to me? if he's got a big yard, guess what most people say if you offer him 150,000 for a bit of land and back? Yeah, I just did one in Enfield. I purchased, I bought a home in Enfield. This one I was going to make 60,000 out of it easily anyway. So I thought, there's a big block of land, and I thought, I'm going to knock on the neighbour. I'm going to buy it anyway, because I can make some money. But I knocked on the neighbour, and they agreed. And I bought a block of land. I'm going to buy a block of land from them for 145,000. And I'll then be able to keep my house at the front and cut off 3 blocks at the back. Guess how much I'll make? Over 200,000. Yeah. And he's happy because he's picked up some money. It's like, oh, I need that. I didn't need that backyard anyway. So this guy's come and given me, 145 grand for my backyard. Right, he's happy. It's money in the bank he's never had before. And I'm happy because I'm going to create some wealth as well. So everybody wins. Yeah? Who enjoys win-wins? Good.
Will you say how much of that was the land back where? Don't you have to have full stay or anything like that?
Yes.
Yes, that's.
Because I know because I know my area, I go to the council and I know what I need to buy. I already know that I need to buy so much land to subdivide with my block of land. Then of course I'll go through the process. In fact, he's paying for that. He's organising surveyor, he's organising all the subdivision, he's paying for it all. And I'm just going to buy the block of land. I've got a contract that once you've subdivided it and it's all done, I will buy it off you. So my contract is when he's finished subdividing it. Does that make sense?
So you're asking him to sell the block of land, and he has to do
Yeah.
the work.
Yeah. He'll do it all. Yeah. So he might spend 20 odd grand doing it all. But I've got a contract with him, signed that as soon as he finishes that, and he's got his surveyor through, and he's got it all approved by the council, and then he's got it all subdivided, I will immediately buy it off him. So I'm bound.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be bound.
Yeah.
Because I've calculated that I can make some really good money once. So he's going to do all that for me, and I'll buy that block of land with him, which is great. So he's happy.
And most councils happy to do that sort of thing, or are most councils happy to do that sort of thing?
You need to know your area, because some councils are not as happy.
Yes.
Some councils are. In this case, it was Enfield. The council loves that sort of thing. They want to, Enfield and Clearview, they enjoy it. They don't mind. Yeah, but you've got to know your area. Talk to your town planner. This is what I want to do, and they'll tell you, yeah, that's fine, no problem. This will be a group. They call it a group dwelling. You can subdivide into 3. Keep the house. Thank you.
Does he need to provide sewer and water to that block?
Yes, he'll be doing it all. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. So area specialisation. Get to know your area. Honestly, one thing you must avoid is, oh, that looks good there. I wonder if you can make some money there. And you look at another area. Oh, that looks good. Without knowing your area, don't go fleeting everywhere, because that's how you can possibly make a mistake. So better off a little caution than a lot of regret. Better a little caution than a lot of regret. So, and the way you do that is just be very focused on an area and get to know it really well. And it's a little bit slower because you might say, oh, nothing's happening. Yeah, but just keep persisting. And in 2 or 3 or 4 months, something will come up that you apply. The only thing about the market at the moment, who knows what the market's like at the moment? Want to comment? Patchy, yes. Depending on where you are, but there's a lot of inner city areas are selling very well at the moment. They're pretty quick. A lot of, I was speaking to a few friends that also like to subdivide and create wealth, and they're saying it's just selling so quickly. What's your experience in the market?
A very gentleman at the front.
Patchy, been in the area? Peter?
I did a bit of research, and surprisingly Adelaide is the best performing capital city in Australia for houses and units.
Yeah. My experience has been it's in the inner suburban areas. It's happening fairly quickly. Like when I'm buying a property now, it's if I see it come on the internet Saturday and it suits my criteria, it's in the area that I know and I know what I can do with it. By Sunday, I have a contract. Not an offer, a contract. I tell the agent I'm going to write a contract. He goes, I'll put it on. No, give me a contract. I'll sign it now. And yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, because the market is a little bit competitive in the right areas. So focus and become an area specialist. Any questions on becoming an area specialist?
When you first started out, you pick a area, you can be missing out so much with your lack of knowledge.
Yes.
So would it not be good, say, pick 2 or 3 to get to know, and then eventually hone in on an area?
You can.
Get more knowledge?
Yeah. I just found that by picking one area, there was so much to learn. So many streets. I went to get the point unit every street. This street here, you need so many square metres to cover a block of land. This street here, some streets are different. You go to some streets, like when I was staying in Prospect, some streets you need 500, and other streets you need 300 square metres. I wanted to target bigger blocks with less sense. So I can get a 300 square metre block in those streets rather than target the wrong streets. So you need to know your area. You need to know your area. And okay, you might say, well, I've been looking in the paper or on the internet, nothing's coming up. Well, I used to drive around and pick properties that I like and write letters to them. Yeah, so I'm interested in buying your property because I know that I can subdivide it. Yeah. And as the market gets more competitive, you need to be more competitive. You need, because they may sell very quickly. Yes.
Is that just like a dear householder letter in the end?
Yeah, dear householder. I'm a local property investor and I'd like to purchase your property. I'm ready now. Please contact me. And look, you might send out 50 letters and just get 1 or 2 responses, but that 1 or 2 might be the one. Yeah. Just be prepared. People can be pretty greedy when they come back to you.
Do you normally put your price that you're willing to pay on that?
No.
No.
Yeah.
I've received like that.
Yeah.
They've had prices on there.
Because you can put somebody off, put the price, someone says that's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do it that way. How else can you create a lead? Because you've got to be able to create leads, right? You've got to be able, obviously you look at the paper, look on the internet, and you find something, act quickly, because the market is in the right areas is quite good. How else can you create a lead? How else do you think?
Estate agents.
Correct, real estate agents, yeah. They're a great source of information. So you go and have a coffee with a local real estate agent, somebody that is quite active in the area. So you can pick 2 or 3 active agents, go and have a coffee with them and say, look, and have a business card, John Smith, property investor, and then write on the back of the card, looking for, 800 square metre blocks in these streets or whatever it is, right? Just, potential for subdivision. So give them your card and get their email, right? And then what do you do with their email? What do you think you do? Yeah, you catch up with them once a month. Hey, how's it going? Anything come up? I'm still looking for these type of properties. Keep reminding them. Yeah. So you've got to create leads. Okay. So apart from looking in paper and internet, write letters, catch up with the agents, and remember the squeaky wheel gets noticed. If you always, not overdo it every week, but I'm saying once a month, if you keep touching base, they'll keep remembering you. And you're clear with what you want. You're not hazy. Like, I'm just looking at something to make money out of. No. I'm looking for this square metres, 800 to 1,000 square metres, in these streets, this type of property. That's what I want to do. Right? So get them to refer properties to you. So once they see something, I'll email you. Like the other day, I had a phone call from an agent, and they emailed me. He had 2 properties because he knows I like multiple properties. So he sent me an email with 2 properties. And then what do you do? You should, within 24 to 48 hours, go and visit those properties and then respond. Say, dear Jason, I've checked it, doesn't suit my strategy, thank you very much, looking forward to the next one. Right? Or dear Jason, love it, what do we need to do a deal? Make sense? Right? So just create leads, and that comes from relationships. So there's plenty of opportunities in one area, if you know how to create leads. So I'm going to keep drumming into you, become an area specialist, get to know your area. I'll call it your patch. Get to know your patch really well. And you'll be surprised how much wealth you can create in your own backyard. Stop looking over there and over there and over there. Yeah.
You make a big mistake and waste a lot of time on an area that really is not got as much future as you could be looking at the next one.
You can. Look, just remember that part of the process of creating wealth is you've got to make mistakes. And just be forgiving to yourself. And, I've made lots of mistakes, no big mistakes, but a lot of little mistakes, and you've got to waste some time. But perhaps if you did your research correctly and said, well, there seems to be a lot of homes in this area, or in these streets that are this size, 800 to 900,000, and the criteria are this, and the driveways seem to be like this, and you know what I mean?
So there is certain criteria you can pick to home in on a suburb, then to learn that.
So area specialisation. Yes.
Is there something that we can get an overview of what sizes the blocks are? I know you guys do it on some,
Yes.
but is there a way of pinpointing how big those blocks actually are?
Okay, you can use programs. There's programs like, have you ever heard of ARPI data? There's programs out there that you can subscribe to, and you can type in an address and it can bring up the property, and you can see how big that property is, and then you can hone in, and you can even hone in and say, oh, can I cut up off there on your screen? Yeah. ARPI data, yeah, it's a typical program.
Commonwealth Bank have that.
Have they? Okay, yeah, there's probably lots of them out there, yeah. But there is programs. Now what you do, you don't rely on this program completely, you do it as a lead generation. You say, oh, this is good, then you go and visit it. You go on site, check it out. Why would you check it out? Anyone know why? Yeah. Might be next to a dump or something, I don't know. Sorry, sir?
When you say subdivide, what kind of title, you mentioned community title, are there other, do you carve things up into actual Torrens title, or is that generally not feasible, or depend on the council? How do you go?
Yeah, it depends on the area. I tend to use community titles, but I've done the odd Torrens title. I find that, this is experience, that a Torrens title allotment seems to sell a little bit better by itself as a block of land. But really these days, most people don't, honestly, years ago it might have been a perception out there, but these days people are quite happy with a community title as opposed to a Torrens title. Yeah.
Can you just explain that a bit further?
Okay. Now this is really, excuse my knowledge because I don't have a lot of knowledge in why they call them certain titles. But a community title has some shared aspects to, is it to the sewerage, is it? Is it sharing? They come off the common sewerage and there's some sharing in the community title, whereas Torrens title has more its own supply. Yeah.
And a strata title?
Strata title normally refers, and I don't do any investments in strata title. Now strata title normally, I'll give you the example, if you've got a block of units and somebody has this block of units and they want to sell each unit individually and create an individual ownership, they create a strata title, and then that person owns that unit and that person owns that unit. Then they're part of, like, I think it's called a strata corporation, and they have some rules they all follow about pets and painting and all that sort of stuff. So, sure, got that one, didn't I? I don't have a lot of knowledge in that area, but I'll help you where I can. So, area specialisation. Put it this way, I reckon it'll take you to become an area specialist if you go every weekend for 2 or 3 hours, probably about 2 or 3 months. You get to a point where you really know it, you really feel it, you really, your gut feel, you just know it. This is my area, I know it really well. I know what works. So, yeah. So area specialisation. So you need to put in the time. You need to gather knowledge. You need to speak with real estate agents, go to open inspections, go on the internet, do some courses, visit the council, talk to town planners, and so forth. You've got to do all that to become an area specialist, and surround yourself with good people. If you can get a property mentor, you'll be so way ahead. I remember a friend of mine, he does a number of developments, and he's a town planner, a private town planner himself, and which means he does private work. Now, he was in the council for 26 years, and he goes to me, it was amazing, because here I am, I've gone to uni, I'm highly educated in this thing, I'm in a council, I'm running a town planning department, and I would get this little European man with a piece of paper coming to me sketching, can I do this? And he goes, this guy, he's got no education, all he's got is an idea, and I tell him, yes, you can do that, and he goes away and makes hundreds of thousands. And he was flabbergasted. He goes, "This is amazing. I'm making, whatever, 80 or 90,000 as a professional. This guy comes in, with a little idea, and he's made hundreds of thousands." And so he quit his job after 26 years. He's a town planner and developer, and he does developments himself. But before he did, even though he knew it all, guess what he did as soon as he wanted to get into investment development? He found a mentor. He found someone, and he's actually one of the people that came to the council and seeking, his approval. And he went in partnership with him to learn. He goes, it didn't worry me if he didn't make a lot of money in the first one or second one. I wanted just to be with him to understand how he thinks, so that I could learn how to make wealth. And that's what he did. And then he learned the game, and now he's built many, many houses and something like many properties. So yeah, becoming an area specialist is very important, and make sure that you alone can do it, but you cannot do it alone. Don't ever go do these things alone. Okay. Development of your subdivision team. These are people, look, the good thing about this team is you don't have to employ them, but when you engage them, they behave as if you've employed them, because they get paid a consulting fee for their time. Who's ever used a conveyancer as an example? Anyone ever used a conveyancer to settle a property? Yeah, that's part of your team. The conveyancer, he helps you settle give you clear titles that you've got the property, and he'll charge you, what, $600, $700, $800? So you pay him, and he's helped you get that title with specialised knowledge. So the purpose of a team is specialised knowledge. If you surround yourself with the right people, it's less likely you will make a big mistake. And you can still make small mistakes, but they're not going to be serious. Okay, you're not going to go broke or lose a lot of money if you have a team. The good thing about this team is they're consultants. They only get paid for the time they do, but if you go on and do a number of, if you do this, say you do one a year or more, they will eventually become part of your business family, and they'll look after you. They'll give you advice. They'll say, don't do that, do this, and so they'll protect you as well as help you make money. So the purpose of the team is together everybody achieves more. Team. Together everybody achieves more. So you'll achieve much more in a team than you do by yourself. And for a lot of people, it's a big wake up to realise that people that create wealth have people around them. No one ever does it alone. So minimises your risk so that you don't make any big mistakes. In fact, now these days when I do a feasibility, I do my own feasibility, but then I get somebody, it could be my town planner, my negotiator, I get them to do a feasibility for me too. They go, can you just double check this for me? Can you do, this is what I want to do, can you tell me what numbers you come up with? And they're usually a little more conservative than me, and I trust them more, because if they're more conservative, I'd rather go with their conservative approach, knowing that I've got to make that much money. So I minimise risk. So I know you might say, but it costs you money, because yes, I'm going to spend, I might spend $300-400 to a private town planner to give me his advice, or I might spend, yeah, but sometimes the best deals are the ones you walk away from. Wouldn't it be better to spend $300 or $400 to find out you weren't going to make any money, right, than to buy it and go through all the pain to make any money? Because if you might say, I'll spend $300 or $400 and I don't buy that one, but then you might buy the next one, and the next one might make you $100,000. Right? So it's all an investment. Save money. I'll come back to this in a moment. So, who's part of your team? I can tell you, but I'd rather ask you. Who do you think is part of your team?
Manager.
Yeah, your finance broker or bank manager. I use a finance broker. Why do you think I use a finance broker?
Shops around.
Shops around, yeah. I tell them to tender it to, say, 3 banks, and we'll go with the best deal. Now, the tendering process can reveal a lot of things. What can it reveal? It can reveal a lower interest rate. It can reveal lower fees and establishment costs. Exit costs. It can also, what else can it give you? Sometimes you might get a higher LVR. What does that mean? Yeah, higher LVR. Why is that good? Because it means you don't have to put as much money in, since it's an investment. So you might get, and it happens, instead of putting 20% in, you might get a bank that will give you the same interest rate, less fees, and you just put 10% in. That happened to me recently, right? The bank just wanted the business.
Still no mortgage insurance?
No. My recent deal that I got a 90%, and I'll pay off that principal gradually over 3 years, about 80. That was good because I don't have to use the money now. I pay it off gradually. Make sense? So I'm using their money. So you can get, by having a finance broker as part of your team, it can save you costs as well as help you get better LVR and other terms. Okay, so who else on your team?
An accountant.
Yes, correct. That's a very good distinction. An accountant that understands real estate. Okay, so you want your accountant to have properties, right? If they've got no properties, it's less likely they'll be as sharp. They'll know the basics. They'll know about all the basics about property, but it's a preference that they are an investor. So you want to have an accountant, and a good accountant. For example, I mentioned earlier the value of getting a QS report, which is a quantity surveyor report, when you buy property, to help you depreciate things. If your accountant doesn't know what a QS report is, guess what? New accountant within your accountant. Okay, so a good accountant will tell you that. Okay, who else do you need on your team? Conveyancer, yeah, definitely. The conveyancer obviously will settle the property, but the conveyancer is also the final steps in subdividing the property as well. He helps you get your title. Yeah. Okay. Who else do you need? Surveyor, yes. Surveyor, very early on, you need a surveyor to peg the site and survey it, and then of course he'll send those drawings to your architect. You need a surveyor. Who else do you need? Town planner, yeah, good to have as a backup. I don't always, lately I've been using my town planner a lot more because I want to do less work myself, so I use a town planner, but good to have on hand a town planner, particularly with sites that you're not sure of. They get his opinion or her opinion and say, what do you think? It's a bit iffy here. And they'll give you a very good appraisal. Who else do you need?
Buyer's agent?
Yeah. If you want to leverage your time to not spend the time looking for a property, engage a buyer's agent. I have in the past, I use a negotiator, so I sort of pick the site and get into negotiate because I want to save that time. However, my recommendation would be to be careful you don't get lazy with the buyer's agent, to learn the area yourself first. Once you know your area inside out, you know what property you want, then you can engage a buyer's agent because they're likely to be motivated by getting a sale. And so, what if I know that their intention is to buy your property at a good price and so forth, but if you've got to know what you're doing. You can't rely on the buyer's agent. But once you know what you're doing, the buyer's agent can help you get those leads in so you can get some property. Who else do you need? You're writing this down as part of your team. Sorry? A lawyer? Not often in property. You do if there's disputes or something. And interstate, I've used a lawyer interstate to settle properties, but here I use a conveyancer. I use my accountant for that, sorry. I use my accountant to set up my trust and that. But yes, a lawyer can be very valuable. Generally more expensive to get, but the advice is invaluable if you get a lawyer to advise you on how to set up your trust and so forth. Yeah, definitely.
Would you need a builder on hand to do
Yes.
quick renovation?
Builder. Yeah, builder on hand. You must have eventually a builder that you work with, somebody on your team, so that whenever you do build or renovate, you use that same builder. You've got a relationship, and you have an arrangement with them. So, for example, my builder, I have a cost plus 10 arrangement. We want to renovate up to a minimum, so it's going to be I think it's minimum 40,000 and above. Anything 40 and above is cost plus 10. Anything below 40 is cost plus 15. So I have the builder on hand, and he then builds for me as well. At cost plus 10. So 10%. Sorry, cost plus 10%. Yeah. You have an arrangement. Normally they make about between 10 and 15% is their margin. But get to know a builder. Right? The first few builders that I worked with, first couple, didn't do the right thing. It's that's life. But eventually I found a builder that suits me, that we get along well. But you need to have a builder on hand. Also, why else do you want to build, apart from renovating building, why else would you want to build on your team?
Go and check the property before you purchase.
check the property for you. Yeah. So I always get my builder to go, if I find something and there's a bit of a slope, check it for me. What do you think? Do we need, what will it cost retaining walls? Do we need a sump? What do we need to do here for this site? How much will it cost me? Yeah. What do you think? Estimate. Builders are very good at estimating. Or if I've got to remove some trees or something, they're very good at estimating. If he doesn't know, then you also need to have an arborist, somebody to access, because if you think you have a significant tree, we'll talk about problems in a moment, then you need somebody to advise you before you buy it. You know, is this whether you can remove it legally or whether you can't, and that will affect the value of the property. Who else do you need on your team? We're almost there. Yeah. If you're going to be selling, a real estate agent, I work with one particular real estate agent and we have a relationship and they do a good job.
Shopping for you.
Yeah. Property manager is the other one. If you're going to be renting properties, you're going to hold them. I know some people want to rent it themselves. My recommendation is for the sake of 7 or 8%, it's not worth it because they handle the tribunal matters, they handle collection, they handle all your printout in the year or your monthly printouts and annual printouts. They can handle insurance, they can handle all the maintenance. You don't want to be doing that. Remember, this money here, where's this money? Is this in property management? No. That's in finding the right property. Your time should be spent in finding wealth. It should not be spent in fixing a property. There's no money in it. Okay, trust me, I've done it. It doesn't work. Renovated doesn't work. The money is in finding real estate and then adding value to the real estate. That's when you make the lots per hour, the big chunks. Yep. So I worked out years ago, I had to find a way to create a lot per hour because I wanted a certain lifestyle. Remember, I come from a totally poor family, right? So within about a decade, got from really a holiday for us was going to Victor Harbour and that was it, a bit of a holiday, to being able to travel every 3 months somewhere in the world. Is that a big difference? Yeah. And that's by focusing on this. Where is the money? What do I need to do to generate capital and income? Well, I mean, I've focused in businesses as well, outside property. But property is a great, I call it my ATM. Property is like an ATM. You just go in and either you refinance or you sell or whatever, and you've got a whole lot of cash and you need it. So, who else is there? Have we mentioned architect or draftsman? You need someone to do your drawings when you submit it to the council.
Financial planner?
Sorry?
Financial planner?
Yeah, financial planner, I mean, I'm not sure how they can help you in this. Most financial planners get a commission for a product they sell. I don't know how they're going to help you, but perhaps if you're going to generate some money and sell them and put it into a fund, perhaps they help you that way, but generally they're not going to be able to be too helpful with property. In fact, most financial planners may not be in property, so they may not advise you. For those of us that want to engage a financial planner, make sure you interview them. Make sure they're wealthy. Because you don't want someone that's not wealthy giving you advice. It's not a good thing. They must be wealthy. Okay, so that's your team. You've got to have a team of people to help you. The good thing about this team is you don't need to employ them, you just need to engage them when you need them and develop a relationship with them. So, what does a relationship mean? So eventually you have a builder and you have an architect and you have a town planner, catch up and have coffees with them. Treat them with respect, as friends, and they will bend over backwards to help you. Because generally they love what they do. Any questions on so town planner, specialised knowledge and he helps with negotiation as well. Sorry.
Yes, with your builder, so have you got a preference to get someone private rather than one of the larger firms?
Yeah.
Like Fairmont and what have you?
I've dealt with the larger firms. I find them a bit not as helpful. They're very good with their own product and mass producing what they want. But I deal with a boutique builder because a lot of this type of strategy is boutique stuff. It's finding it and then sometimes you can whack on one of their properties.
And your builder's your project manager and he runs around. He knows the trades, the quality,
yeah.
what is and all that.
That's right. I mean, I used to do some Sorry?
So you just sign the checks?
Yeah. It's easy that way, because that's his specialty. Now, mind you, I've done the project management bit as well, purely to learn. I did all the renovation, and you get all the tradies and ring them up, and some turn up, some don't. Buy them a pie, buy them a nice coffee. Come on, guys, I just get this going. Please turn up. So I know how difficult it is. So I prefer to. In fact, I don't know if you really. I mean, look, you can save money doing it yourself, but then again, it's back to here. What's your hourly rate worth? How much you want to make per hour? Most of the money is in the idea, finding the land. So my builder's, that's his specialty. And he's got his tradies, and he gets volume discount because he keeps them busy, so he gets discount and he passes that on to me. And he still makes his margin, he's 10 or 12%, so I'm pretty happy with that arrangement. Yeah. The key is finding someone you can work with, trust, and develop a relationship. Business is about relationships. Go have lunch with him occasionally, catch up with him as a family. Part of your team. Treat him well and they'll look after you. Yes.
Do you change the design of your homes according to the street or?
A lot of times you've got to design your home. Each council has a particular look and feel they want. Like, for example, like when I was building in Prospect, I'd make them more bungalow or Tudor or that sort of character look. Generally, not all the time, but generally, make them more character. If I thought the street needed more character. So, yeah, every area is different. There's we're giving you notes here. You've got notes there? Good. There's a checklist here. We'll go through it in a moment. Surveyor, what else? Let's have a look. Architect or draftsman, conveyancer, finance broker, property manager, and advisor or negotiator. So if we go through the notes here, I'll just go through a couple of things that I think are important here. One of the things I recommend that you do is whenever you deal with somebody, always be honest with them and rate them. I'll give you an example where each page is. A property manager always set what's called KPIs, key performance indicators. Everyone got that page? Monthly property management KPIs, yeah? Monthly property management KPIs. It's about halfway through the notes. And this is really important because I set some measures for the people that work with me. So the property manager, and I'll make it very clear to this manager, that they have 5 KPIs. Attentiveness, they've got to return emails and phone calls in 24 hours. Administration, they're going to be accurate, thorough with their accounts and all that sort of stuff. Reports are on time. I get a report on the 17th of every month. Valuable recommendations for problem solving and speed to market for renting and so forth. So my property manager, I sent her an email from my PA, my lady who's the property manager. We send this person an email once a month telling them how we're grading them. Actually, they got 96% yesterday, over the moon. So people want to know what you think of them. Don't just sit and hold grudges and not tell them what you think. So if you objectify their performance and say, look, every month I'm going to send you a measure of how my perception is you're performing, and they appreciate it. So you send them a report. And the same with builder. How would you rate a builder? I've got 3 KPIs from a builder. Time. Quality. And budget. They're my 3 KPIs. So I say to him, look, are you running on time? Yes, fantastic. I look at the quality and any defects, and there's no variations. I don't want variations. I tell him, he knows. Don't tell me variations. I don't want to hear it. It's like, any variation is my doing, not an oversight. You should be able to tell me at the time of quoting and contract what I'm going to face. So that's my 3 KPIs for my builder: budget, quality, time. I've got KPIs for the property manager. So you should always have in your mind at least 3 to 5 measures for people that work with you, and let them know. This is what I think is quality service. Just want to let you know, and I really want to work with you, and I want you to do well. So and then let them know how they're going. And if someone's not performing, let them know. And if they don't improve, next person. You should put up with substandard work. There's other people out there. So, any questions so far? let's look at feasibility studies. Feasibility study means basically do the numbers, make sure it stacks up so you don't make a mistake. Okay? You should make money when you buy. When do you make money? No. When do you make money? When you buy. You should know as soon as you buy how much money you're going to make. Because selling price is a selling price, whatever it is at the time. You might sell in a bad market, in a good market, the selling price can vary, but you should know at this moment, right now, I bought this property and right today, I can make 50,000, or I can make 100,000, or I can make 150,000. You should know right now how much you can make. Okay? A lot of people buy property in hope. They just hope it goes up. Or hope the market booms, or hope. I mean, yes, you can buy and hold for 10 years, of course. But we're talking about being able to create equity within a year. Yeah? That's our intention, isn't it? Buy a property, add value within a year, subdivide, etc. Within a year, add some value, get some equity by the next month. Or we use that for something else. So you make your money when you buy, so you've got to do a feasibility study. Now I'm going to go through the complicated version, but eventually you should be able to do it at the back of a napkin. Right? Really quick. Bang, 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 bang. I'm going to make this much. But I wouldn't recommend you that initially. Initially, spend a bit more time doing your numbers, and then eventually you're going to do it very quickly. Okay? So, proper planning prevents poor performance. The 5 Ps, eh? Everyone heard that before? Proper planning prevents poor performance. That's feasibility. So you make your money when you buy. And when you're doing a feasibility, what do you think you need to look out for? What are some things that could go wrong, and maybe you should buy the property? What do you think you'll look out for?
Nasty surprises like the water.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, like the water pipes running down the back of the land and you can't build there.
Okay, easement.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's an easement on the property, good. The easement might not be water pipes, might be other government. There's the reason the government has said you can't build on that site. All sorts of things. Could be electrical, could be all sorts of stuff. So easements. Okay. So you must ask the real estate agent: is there an easement on this property? And look at the title. When you look at the copy of the title, you have it on it as well. So ask the agent. He's got to tell you: is there an easement on this property? I need to know. Okay. So what else do you need to ask or find out?
Council rules of development.
Yeah, but what, in terms, I mean, you should know that before you got to know your council rules, of course you do. You've got to study it and know your area. So you've got to look out for easements, you've got to look out for, somebody mentioned it earlier, significant trees, yes. So you've got to look out, does anyone know what a significant tree is? How high up? You know how high up? I'm in for base, it's got to be? 2? Is it 2? Yeah? 3. Okay. 3? So 1 metre off the ground. Is it 2 or 3? Who knows?
It's 3.
3?
Dimensions of it's 1 metre, measured 1 metre above the ground.
There's significant for 3, and then there's
Yes.
that the step down, which is 2 metres,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
depends on the council.
And also, with significant trees, okay, 1 metre up, so let's 1 metre 3. There's also rules about removal. Who knows when can a significant tree be removed? If it's within?
9 metres usually.
There's a distance in your property, yeah. Is it 9 or 8?
Depends which council.
Depends on the council, yeah. The one I was looking at recently was 8 metres. I was looking at one council. So 8 metres, right. So there are rules where you can remove significant trees, and you need to find that out from your council. So, how else can you remove a significant tree?
It's dead.
Yeah, if it's dead, and yeah. In which case, if you, I always look when I'm not sure, I get an arborist in. I get an arborist for $150. Tell me, is this a significant tree, and can it be removed? Okay. So if it's dead, or if it's a particular type of tree, you can actually remove it. So, but the arborist will be able to tell you.
Excuse me,
Yes.
you said 8 metres from, 8 metres from what?
From the property, sorry, from the house, or when it's too close to a building, it can actually be removed. Certain councils have that regulation.
And what happens if you're planning to subdivide the property? Would council look more favourably upon the removal of significant trees?
Yeah, what you do is you've got to do it in stages. The first step is get rid of the tree. So you leave the building and just apply and get rid of the tree. Once you get rid of the tree, then you go for subdivision. Yeah. You've got to do it strategically. Yeah. So, trees.
Is that what the fine is? Might be just good at it.
I don't know, yeah. Could be, yeah. Is it really? Yeah, really fits. Yeah.
Also, because there's threat to public safety.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Correct. So, with this sort of thing, I always get an arborist to come and advise me. Yeah. It's great to have a professional. Yes?
Unusual question, but we've got a block and we've got 3 trees in the park.
3 trees?
Yeah, they're not significant, but the council says, we're not going to remove them. Do you ever have any issues with councils and trying to get those sort of things removed?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. This is where I rely on an arborist to help me. Yeah. I sort of use a combination of an arborist and a town planner, and we sit and strategise how we're going to approach it. But yeah, you need to have advice.
But this is part of your research, isn't it? So what you might decide is that don't buy that property because there's trees that the council wants to keep.
Yeah, but I will still get an arborist into it because I need to hear it from him what I can do. You know, because if I calculate I can make 100,000, 200,000, I don't want to walk away because I might be able to do something. Still part of due diligence, yeah. It's feasibility. Yeah. And sometimes I'll just get, the arborist to apply on my behalf. You can go organise it. Good. What else? So it's got easements, significant trees. Sometimes there's council restrictions that you need to be aware of. What are some of the or planning restrictions? You need to be aware of setbacks. In other words, when you the council or the regs will say your property has to be set back a certain amount from the front or from the boundary. You need to know that. You need to know how much open space that you require.
If there's a listing on the property, state or local heritage listing?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. If you're planning to knock down a property and it has a listing, and obviously, yeah, if you need to renovate, you've got to follow some guidelines in how you renovate it. Definitely.
How do you find that out?
Many a time you just ask the agent, is there a listing on this? Yeah. Good. So we're doing feasibility. What about precedents? Does that always work? Like somebody's built 4 townhouses over here, can you now build 4? Because you've got the same lot size? No, not necessarily, yeah. If it was recent, like within a year, it's likely, in which case you can double check. But sometimes councils change the rules, don't they? So what was allowed 5 years ago might not be allowed now. So be careful, don't think that, oh, buy this property, I can do 4 here before. Going to get it checked out. What about if your property that you're buying is opposite a reserve or a park? This is a little secret. This will pay for your course tonight. If you're opposite a reserve or a park, there's a lot of clauses where you can get a 15% reduction in the amount of land you need to subdivide. Yeah. So, check it out. So instead of needing 350 square metres, the council might let you have 300, for example, because you're opposite a reserve or a park.
Is that because of cars sometimes being...
I think it's to do with the fact that because you're opposite a reserve, you can use that as open space, you can use it as, yeah. So a lot of people don't know that. That was paid for your course, isn't it? Again, I always consult a town planner to assist me with that. Sorry, somebody put their hand up before.
I was just going to say, you said it can reduce the size of you might think 350 to 300.
Yeah, you don't have to use as much land.
But also you said open space. It could reduce, if you need to be 50% open space, it might drop to 40% open space.
Yeah.
That's
good. So you just have less land, which is good. You might get an extra block.
You build a bigger house.
Yeah,
One thing having mentioned up there, site contamination, whether or not there's registered contamination.
Not common. I mean, I've bought many tens of residential properties. I have never encountered it. However, it's common in commercial, when I bought a commercial property, contamination, yeah. Because it's been used as a, whatever. I bought one property once, it was an old service station, and it had, and I knew it, I checked it up, I knew I wasn't going to develop it, I was going to use it as a retail site. But yeah, it had contamination in it. So, but generally not with residential, it's very unlikely, but it still should ask. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Cadmium, yeah, you're right, yes. Sorry? Yeah, you're right.
But even that wouldn't come up in a search the agent done. Because
That's right. They didn't have it in, the EPA's got a
Section 7 searches does come up.
Yeah. So Section 7 searches? Yes?
With the reserve and open plan, is it going to be right near the property, or can it be a few doors down?
My town planner has told me that when it's opposite the property. Yeah. Or it could be sometimes, I think, behind the property, I'm not sure. But he goes, anytime you've got a reserve that you can use as part of your open space, can you buy some land off the neighbour? I've mentioned that before, consolidate some land. That will improve your feasibility. That will help you make a lot more money. And that's what most people don't do. They don't want to go and knock on the neighbour's door. They just look at that property only. But it's very lucrative. Knock on the door, mate, do you think about selling some of your land? Most of the time it's about 150 grand. You'd be surprised how many people say yes. It's like 150 grand, it's like 3 holidays. We're not using it, the kids are grown up.
What kind of size land would that be, roughly, for 150 grand? Because they'd be getting a pretty top dollar price,
Yeah. It depends on what is required to subdivide in the back. Like some councils might be 300, some might be 450. So generally, whatever it is, whatever is required to subdivide a block of land. But the good thing is you buy a block of land from them, like one block, and then you consolidate it with your land. And sometimes what I try and do is create like a group dwelling. You can go just say you subdivided one block at the back, and the council said you need 450 square metres to get one block, right? But then you've got sufficient land to create a group. It's got a group dwelling, and they might say, "Look, we'll allow you to do 3 for that 900 because now it's a group dwelling. Yeah, you can build 3 new homes."
Why group dwelling?
Okay. There's some councils have they want you to develop more of the property, right? So they make it more harder for you to do a hammerhead, but they make it easier for you when you either knock your house down or use more land to build multiple homes. Does that make sense? Because they like it. They like all the homes to be the same. And so you might buy your neighbour's block of land, and it might be, say, 450 square metres, and you might pick it up for 150 grand, and that's all you would have done with your backyard as well. You might have just cut off one block of land as well. But because you combine the two, and you go to the council and go, now I've got 900, I can build 3, can I build 3 homes at 300 each? And they'll use it as classified as a group dwelling, and they'll allow you to subdivide more.
They have to be attached?
Depends on the criteria, Some it might be attached, might be detached, they'll tell you what the criteria are. And generally they'll probably be attached with a garage. Attached and detached, you all know what that means? Attached, they're attached by something, usually a garage, or detached means that they're separate. Which one do you think has the criteria for more land required? Detached or attached? Detached, detached, you need more land. Okay? Quotation of subdivision, again, it's good for you to go and get your subdivision quoted. I've got an example here. Let me find it for you. Here it is. Example quotation for subdivision. About halfway. Here's a little example of going to surveyor and getting it all quoted. They have their fee there as well. We do it all for you. I don't, because I always have an estimate of about 22,000 when I do my But it's good to, if you're not sure exactly how much it will cost, you go and get a quote from the surveyor. Sometimes surveyors may vary their fees, like some surveyors might charge 5,000 and this one might charge 4,400. You might say that way. Generally they're very close.
Sorry, did you get the
Survey. Now, who's ever done one of these before? Anyone? You get the bills gradually. As they do their work, they send you the bill, you pay it, so you don't have to pay all at once. You really have to drip and drag over a number of months before you get your title. That's an example of that. What's next? Let's have a look. Okay. Some documents that are worth a lot of money. This document here, called a council notification. And here, we've all got it. Basically, it should be either your first page or second page. You know, some people, and you've probably seen this, they get a property and they go and get a council approval. So they, obviously work with their surveyor and their architect, get an approval for a subdivision to the council, and they don't actually subdivide the land. They just get an approval, which lasts. Does anyone know how long it lasts? Generally, 2 months, 12 months. 12 months. And they get an approval, and then they go and sell the property and make money. Yeah, they've got this letter from the council saying you can subdivide this, build a home. Let's say they might pick up 30, 40, 50 grand just by getting an approval from the council. Just be careful when you get these approvals because they're valid for a period of time, which is more than 12 months, and have it diarised that if you, for any reason, do not develop, do not proceed with this project, apply for an extension. Now, when times were, post-GFC times was difficult, I had a number of properties and I was still buying, I would just keep every year sending letters and extending. I had some properties 4 or 5 years, just keep extending. I didn't want to pour the money into it. So every year, about the 11th month, I write a letter to the council, please have an extension, cite whatever reason you want, deciding that it wasn't financially the right time, etc. And then they kept extending it for me every year. They'll get to a point where they get annoyed with you. What are you going to do with this thing?
Is there a cost of that?
There is. It's like $80 or something. It's not a lot of money. Yeah. So make sure you once you get this, you diarise what it's due. If you're not going to do it within that 12 months, because once it lapses, there's no guarantee you'll get it again. It's likely you will, but there's no guarantee. You have to go through the process again. What if the all the rules change in the council?
How long can that process take?
This?
Yeah.
It varies. If I had to pick an average figure, I'd say 3 months. That's average. It can vary depending on the complexity of the project. But if you allow 3 months, most of the time it's about right.
Is that what, getting that piece of paper, is that what costs all the money, or is it actually doing the title and all of that that costs
Yeah.
the 20
Getting all the titles. Yeah.
Really
This here,
costs
what does it cost me? Somebody's time. Like it could be my builder helps me launch the application, or sometimes my builder and architect will work together and design and launch it. But yeah, it's just their fees. It might generally cost me no more than $1,000 for their time and to help me design something. Yeah. A lot of times you can just you can do it pretty cheaply with a draft person, $100.
Right, so you're saying is you buy a block of land that possibly could be subdivided, get that piece of paper, you may have to sit on it for 3 months, and then turn the property over again.
You can, for quick cash. Yeah. There's people that will pay for it. They'll go, wow. You might get a builder that goes, wow, that's subdivided, and you make a little bit of money, but he can calculate, the builder can calculate, I can make good money out of this. So yeah, there's people that do that. Yes.
If you have a property and you get pre-approval for subdivision,
Yes.
it then improves the value of that property.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what that is. Yeah, pre-approval. Yeah, it improves. You've added value. Back to what my dad said. You make money with your mind. It's an idea. And this is office money. They call it office money, not hard work money.
Is there a rough calculation
every area is different. Some areas, a block of land might be worth 170, another area, a block of land might be worth 300, 400. So it depends. Yeah. But you definitely make some money because it's got value now. You've got an approval. Yes.
So before you sell that land, you can subdivide, put it on down around the house.
When you get your approval, depending on what you've got, if it's just if it's one of these where you don't have to do any structural change, but the council will write on there what they want you to do. They'll have conditions and notes of development approval. And this one is all standard. There's no real major. Sometimes they'll say it depends on knocking the house down and etc.
So it is another 11,000 to 12,000, right?
Yeah. If you got to knock it down. Yeah. They'll put all the conditions of the approval in for you. It might be that you need to there might be an elevation issue in the property.
You need to have this before you can go to landscape or
Before you can begin the process of subdivision, you need to have council approval. Yeah, that's number one step. It'll take you up to 3 months. Yeah. Normally, it can take longer if you have. I'm currently with one project. We've come to a technicality to a disagreement, and it's taking longer. So most of the time, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. All good so far? Another document that's worth a lot of money, this one's worth the most money of course, is where is it? The document you get once you get the title. This one reminds me of a check. I'm getting a big check. Very good, I've got it towards the end of it. Here it is, plan approval advice. Okay? This is when it's been lodged with the Land Titles Office, and the surveyor will send you this, telling you it's on its way, your check is coming. Okay, so that's probably the most exciting document. I recommend you frame it and put it up. Actually, while we're on this, with feasibilities, I've got you a few examples here. Let's go. I got one of my students to do an example. I've got a couple of them actually. This one here is I've got the builder's quote from your renovation. We quoted out the renovation, saying exactly what I was spending on the reno. The renovations, of course, as we know, do they ever come on budget? There's always things that come on. Sometimes 10% out, 20%. But that's it's important for you to have estimates when you're doing. In this case, I was renovating the front. Actually, it's a house. I was renovating the front house and building a new one at the back. So that's an example of doing a feasibility, which is getting a quote. The other feasibility is over here. There was a student that I was mentoring over here, and he wanted to buy a property, and they wanted to do a feasibility for me before you buy it. Not wait, just go buy it. So he did a feasibility. Has everyone got that? It says on the top, feasibility study prior to purchase. And I said to him, I want you to put in detail because I need you to understand things. And then when you're really good at it, you do the napkin thing. Okay, I'm back on napkin. But say he did it, he goes, my purchase price, my deposit, my loan, he was going to get 95%, it's his first property, and he fit that. He had LMI, which is the insurance, total borrowings, and then he put down how much the sale of each land, money in, money out, and his profits, and he worked out all his expenses, and subdivision costs, and demolition costs, and holding costs, everything. But he worked out there wasn't much money in it. A gross profit of 18,900. I said, are you happy with that? He goes, no. So you can go ahead with that. Right, so that's why it's so important for you to do a feasibility, because you make money when you buy. Make your money when you buy. So if you made his rule was if I can make 50 grand, I'll buy it. Couldn't work out that he can make 50 grand.
But you could have gone back and renegotiated.
Of course, yeah, exactly. Spot on. By doing this, it's a very good question, a very good point. You can actually go back to the agent and go, look, I'm doing this as development, I'm subdividing, etc. I can't make money. I can't pay 340, I've got to pay 305 as an example, so I can make my 50 or 60 grand. Yeah, exactly right. And I've done that many times, and when you go to the real estate agent and you're educated with your approach, and you tell him why, it's the price, this is why, this is my numbers, they won't argue with you. They go, oh okay. I'll tell you they can't sell at that price, but well, they may sell it to you at that price. But I've bought a number of properties by telling the agent that that's my feasibility. I need to make, and I've always worked on 20% gross. I want to make 20% on the total selling price gross, and which might be a 15% interest, but that's my numbers. I'm not going to do it for less. And so it's just numbers. No, 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 no. Yes. And you pick one up. So make sure you know the numbers. Should we have a break? 8 o'clock. Time flies, have fun. Oh, off the ground. Okay, I'll just go through some examples of projects over time. This one here was front house. I renovated the front house. I chose this street because it was so close to another road called Barker Road, which is the $1 million street. So I picked this property up. It was close to that road, and I knew that there'd always be demand in such a great area. So this house here, I renovated it and then built one at the back. I got one at the back. It's interesting because this particular property, this is where it's so valuable. I initially wanted to get it through myself, and the council rejected an application. So then I got a town planner to help me. And I might have his report in here actually, just to show you as an example of how important a town planner is. And he then helped construct an argument for the council. And here's a letter here. An example application to a council by a town planner on behalf of a property owner. Look at that. And he was able to, cost me a few $100, but we got it through. And when you get home tonight, have a read of how he addressed it with the council. Obviously, he had to address private open space. He had to address on the side of the building. There was some windows, and it was queried by the council about privacy when the car drives by. So we put glass blocks, glass bricks on that side of that original building. We showed the council the turning circle would be fine. We showed them the open space would be fine. Eventually, we convinced them that it's better to keep the old house because it preserves the streetscape. It blends with the area rather than build a new home. It looks better. So the council eventually agreed and allowed me to have that block of land at the back and build a home. So that's the value of getting and I've photocopied about, I think it's about 5 pages there for you, just to show how important it is to have a town planner help you. Because it might have been $700 or $800, but that $700, $800 helped me create about $100,000 in equity. So is that a good return? Yeah, very good return. So that's an example of don't give up if you. Because I was really close, I knew it was close. I got my town planner to help me. This is a house quite a few years ago now, probably a decade ago. I renovated the bungalow at the front. So I knocked down the side and knocked down some walls, made a nice big open kitchen and so forth. And I built a Tudor at the back. That's the one I just sold this month actually. It's settling into this month. Nice Tudor. This one here was when I bought 2 houses and I created a driveway in the middle and I renovated the front houses and I built 2 new ones at the back.
So excuse me, is that you had one driveway that the 2 at the back shared?
One driveway through the 2 houses which I renovated, and that driveway went slightly off into each new home. Just slightly, yeah. At the back, 2 new homes.
So how
joined by a garage.
Just curious about who owns that driveway land? Which block does it belong to? Or
Remember how I said it's not counted? It's not counted. It actually has its own entity, and you've got to pay. Everyone shares in paying insurance and so forth for that entity. what it's called, but it's,
And is that the same on that hammerhead block that you were talking about before?
Sorry?
Is it the same for the
yeah,
hammerhead
yeah.
block?
This is something it belongs, basically it's its own little entity there,
Okay.
and these two houses pay for its upkeep and insurance.
So it doesn't appear on either of those titles, its own?
You'll have a title, and yeah, it'll be there, but it's not part of each title.
It kind of becomes almost like a...
It's a driveway. It's a driveway that they share. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've made it a driveway between.
Is that paid for through rates? Is that just paid for through your rates?
I can't remember. I know that when I have these situations, property manager pays for insurances and all sorts of things to do that. It's basically totally limited. They don't know. They pay through rates or.
That's common property.
Common property.
Paid through by the body corporate.
Body corporate,
So
yeah.
the two owners together put the money in.
Yeah, they put money in, yeah.
And that portion of that property has its own little rates, so they
Yeah.
pay that. That has to be insured.
Yes.
If the pavers start to lift and somebody has
Yes.
to repair that.
They
So
go
who
there.
would be responsible for going
Both
on
of
that?
you.
Both of you.
Yeah, I let the property manager handle it, so they go to both of the, if it's different owners. I used to own one and somebody had another, the property manager handled it for me.
Okay.
And we contribute and we pay for insurances, and sometimes, like Peter said, the tiles go, after a few years, you might get some, we had some paving and needs repairs, we both got to chip in. But it's its own little entity.
So it's a bit like the boundary fence in that way, like you're both,
Yeah. You're both responsible.
Yeah.
You both got to share half each.
Your multi-titles.
Sorry?
Your multi-titles.
Multi titles, okay.
Go back from, way back, many years.
Is that right?
And they have now become community titles.
Thank you for that nostalgia.
So,
yes.
the current house does not use that driveway, they can still, they still have to pay to maintain and keep it.
Normally, for example, the common thing that I've always experienced is you have this driveway and you have a garage back here behind this house. You might get one car here somewhere, and then you have one or two cars here. So they do use it.
Okay, because I've also seen that front house will have its own driveway on the left-hand side.
Yeah. You're right. Sometimes, if you've got this, you're right. This house may have a driveway here. You're right. Yes. Yeah. But they still have to, from my recollection, you still got to share costs. Yeah. Sorry, this one here was get a house, knock down and build two. Not as profitable in my opinion. I've always found retaining and renovating, I tend to like them better. So knocking down and building two is still good. I mean, you still make some money.
Presumably retaining and renovating almost always involves a hammerhead situation, right?
I prefer those, or I prefer bigger ones like corner blocks. Good too. Yeah. Get a corner block, keep it, cut it off, build. I also like bigger sites, like you build 3, 4, 6. I find them profitable. This one here was a renovation of a bungalow, and then building another. Notice how I built a bungalow look. Yeah. And that one sold really quick. I remember incredibly quick it sold.
So the driveway on the left, a shed on the left, which is completely against the one on the right, that belongs to the house, the original bungalow?
Yeah. This one here can only get a single garage. Yeah. Sorry, this one had a single garage here, and double for this one here. Yeah. Yes, it was joint. Yeah.
Do you prefer 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms?
These ones here were 2 bedrooms, mostly 3, and prefer 3 bedrooms. You can actually capture a bigger market. With 2 bedrooms, it's not as big a market. It's usually single mums or single people, or maybe elderly couples. This is a case where I knocked down an old timber frame home, and this gentleman, what's your first name? David had a good query earlier. There's a timber frame home on here. Now, there's no use getting a QS report on an old timber frame home. You're not going to get much depreciation. So, so when you're getting old homes, you're going to knock down. So I knocked it down and built 3. So, one at the front, 2 at the back. And this one here was really interesting because it was there was three homes. Not often you can buy 3 homes at once. It came on the market, so I purchased the 3 homes, and I built a home down this street, a new one. It was interesting because when I built this one down the side here, a new one, it actually sold before I even finished it. I kept getting hassled, this person wanted to buy it. So then I made up a price and I paid it. So, but geez, that's good. So I actually got 2 blocks of land. One between, see what there was, I'll just draw it up here. Just say there's three houses. Right. There's 1, 2, 3 houses. So what I did here, okay, I got a block of land here, yep, and then I got a block of land here. Okay, so 1 block there and another block there, and I renovated the 3 houses, and I built 2 new ones, and then sold 1. That was very. That project was good. It was about $500,000 of equity in that. That was pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good for 25 hours work. Yeah. Yeah, that was just a renovation, I think. So, a few examples of how you can apply it. So, I'd like to now explore a little bit more about the mindset. Because it's important, as much as it is important to get the strategies, it is important to have the mindset of how the world think. I'm going to just have a few points. There's 3 books that I believe will change your life. And they are The Richest Man in Babylon. Anyone read that? Yeah? Think and Grow Rich and How to Be Rich. John Paul Getty was the wealthiest man in the world in the 60s. And both extremely good reads. I recommend you read them all. And you'll begin to think like they think. And then you'll change your results. So, I just want to go through some concepts that I think are really important in terms of mindset and creating wealth. When you go into property and you want to accumulate properties, you want to eventually be making money while you sleep. Okay? You want to wake up every morning and have more money than the day before. Who would agree with that? That'd be good? You wake up in the morning and you've made more money than the day before. At the same time, you've got MSIs. What is MSIs? Multiple sources of income. You've got income coming in from multiple sources and wealth growing while you sleep. In order to do that, you need to be able to get a good return on investment, ROI. So when you do a project, you do the numbers and make sure that you're making the percentage you want to make. I always look to make, my goal is always to make 20% on a project. So whatever the end value is, I want to make 20%. Like for example, the end value of this is 450, yeah? 20% is 90. So this ticks my boxes. Yes, it's worth it. That's my criteria. Other people choose 10%. Obviously, if you go for 10%, you probably find more deals. There's more of them at that than maybe there's not as many at 20. And the other thing I look at is return on capital employed, ROCE. I want to always get the maximum I can out of the money I use. So, for example, if I put 100,000 in to buy a property, and I made 50,000 after 12 months. What's my return on capital? 50%. Yeah. How long would it take for you to make 50% in the bank? 10 years? I don't know. 3 or 4%. So you accelerate your wealth process by getting a great return on capital employed. If you study someone like Warren Buffett, the wealthiest investor in the world, he always focused on getting a great return on his capital. So you should always aim to get a great return on your capital. Good debt versus bad debt. What is bad debt? Yeah, money. Yeah, money, boats and cars and credit cards. Why is it bad debt? Because it's a depreciating asset. Usually it's dropping in value, and it's not creating you money or wealth. It's bad debt. What is good debt? The opposite. is creating you wealth or giving you income. If you're going to borrow money, which most people do to create wealth, just make sure you're getting good debt, not bad debt. Stay away from credit cards, stay away from pay off, don't borrow for cars and boats and holidays, don't borrow for that. That should eventually be paid out of your wealth. Income versus assets. A lot of people are income rich. I know people that specialist doctors and that who make a lot of income, but they end up retiring very poor because they haven't invested. It's not how much you make, it's what you do with what you make. So I know people who always made one average income in their life, or their household had 2 average incomes, and after 20 years they had millions in assets because they were very wise with how they used their money. So build up assets. Tax optimisation, pay for advice to minimise your tax legally, okay? Not illegally, legally, so it's called tax optimisation. So I was talking to somebody before and they got caught paying a lot of land tax, and that's because they didn't get the right advice. So that makes it very difficult, because now if you're paying a lot of land tax, you've got to restructure. To restructure, you pay a lot of stamp duty. So you might be better off selling properties. So tax optimisation. Warren Buffett principles. Who knows Warren Buffett's principles? No one know? Okay. Buy something you understand. Right? That's number one. Buy something that's a good history and a good future. Make sure it's under good management. Right? Some of these principles.
Wealth is the transfer.
Yes, wealth is a transfer from the uneducated to the educated.
The patient and the impatient.
Yes, wealth is transferred from the impatient to the patient. Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. Right? So these are the principles we've got to learn. So that's a classic one in property. When it's booming and prices are going sky high, be careful. I'm fearful when it's booming. I'm fearful when others are greedy. But when everyone's in fear, no one's buying, that's when I get greedy. Yeah. Use measures, key performance indicators to measure how the market is going. What are some measures of how the market is going? What could you be measuring? Vacancy rates, auction clearance rates, time of the market, unemployment levels, they're a good indicator of how things are going. Interest rates are a good indicator. So all these things, just keep an eye on them, and they influence, if you're going to sell, they do influence the time you're going to sell. Be very careful. Have contrarian thinking. Stay away from doom and gloom sayers. The last 8 years, 6 years, the amount of times I heard property bubble will burst and everyone's going to go broke, and property, who's heard that story so many times? Everything will drop to half. I see people smiling out there. We all know it. It's just ridiculous. Like, for goodness sake, we've got a totally different system. We've got banks that are prudent, that have, very strict lending standards. We've got, we're not doing what they were doing in the US. So, property is a stable vehicle. The wealth creation process. This is really important. I encourage you to write it down. Most people, create money or earn money. They spend money, and they only invest what they got left, right? If they got anything left. But the smart people, they either earn or create money. They invest straight away, right? And then they spend eventually from their investments. What does that mean? Does that mean you go and spend more than you make on your credit card? Or does that mean maybe you've got to be tight for a few years until you accumulate some capital and then enjoy the fruits of that capital? Yeah? So a little bit of sacrifice at the beginning gives you a lot of fruit for the rest of your life. And sometimes people want everything too quick. But, wealth takes time. If I was to say, if I was going to teach you to get rich quick, I'm sorry, there is no way to get rich quick. Get rich is a process you follow. And it takes a number of years. The wealth mindset, 80% of wealth is our mindset, 20% is our strategy. So yes, we do need to know what to do with respect to creating wealth, but we need to have the mindset, the can-do attitude. We can't let fear stop us. We can't let limiting beliefs hold us back. It's not possible. It's not possible for me. It's too hard. Or you make it sound so easy, blah, 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 blah. You've got to be careful about thinking, because that will stop you becoming wealthy or creating wealth through real estate. Paramodeling, mentors, seminars, learn. The goal setting, every day. Have a dream. Break your dream down to goals. Break your goals down to steps. Break your steps down to tasks. Do 1% every day, a little bit every day. Sometimes it might take you a few months before you find that property. Do a little bit as often as you can. Law of compounding, good decisions over time. A good friend of mine said, it's just to make a good decision and time will create your wealth. And so, if you are able to have one lot of $100,000 and you are able to intelligently invest it every year, and you found a way to create 30% of that money, you would have over $5 million in 15 years' time. Just that one lot. Now you might say, that's hard to do. How do you get 30% every year? Yes, it is difficult to do. I'm not claiming I've done it every year, but there are a number of years where I'm getting great returns in property, and I'm also in the share market. The last financial year, in the share market, I created 26% return. The previous year was 35%. So you can create great returns in property. I'm always creating 20 to 30% return on my capital from subdividing, adding value. So you find ways and you keep multiplying your money. Time management, use your time wisely. Remember what I said, eventually it's good to learn everything. It's good to learn to renovate, to rejuvenate the property. It's good to learn to do everything at some stage so you can get some hands-on experience. But ultimately, use your time wisely. Only do that which creates you wealth. And delegate as much as you can and oversee things. Personal development. There's a great book, As a Man Thinketh, and it explains the process of becoming a successful person. If you want to attract successful people, you need to become an attractive person. That's an attractive person internally, inside, the way you think, the way you feel. And later today, we're going to give you a complimentary book. It's worth about $12. Only if you want it. I'm not going to give it to everybody. If you want a book, we'll give you a book. It's called As a Man Thinketh, and it's one of the books that profoundly changed my life. It's profound. It really is. It tells you the secrets to wealth, the secrets to health, the secrets to happiness. It's the most profound book. It'll take you about an hour to read, and I recommend you read it 40 times. You know one of those books where you read it, and every time you read it, it's like, oh my God, that wasn't in there before. Okay, results. Anyone can make money, but sustainable wealth comes from living with integrity, living in balance, and always being honest, and always using your time wisely. Spend time with your family. Balance out, not just achieve fulfillment. Get involved with charity, get involved, do good things, and you'll have your wealth for a long time. And Think and Grow Rich is one of the books I recommend. It's a phenomenal book. For those of you that are interested in going further, we've got a preview night coming up. What day was it, Sarah? In August? August the which evening?
The next slide.
It's on the next one. Okay, we'll go to that in a moment. Now, what I might do, Sarah, is can we hand out these feedback forms?
Sure.
Thank you. There's a couple of feedback forms, guys. Now we'll take some questions. We'll be here till at least 9 o'clock and after. There's 2 feedback forms. One is to WEA, and all you do is just tick and flick. That's all you do. It's just one set, and pass it around as quickly as you can. I've got to send that into WEA. The other feedback form is to us. What we do is we stay in touch with you, name, your email, we keep in touch, a little bit of feedback about tonight, and be honest, what you enjoyed, what we can do better, and Sarah will pass that around. Thank you, Sarah. And who here works as a paid worker? Paid workers in the room? Small business people, fantastic. People who've got time, who's got time? Or the people with time, excellent, fantastic. I remember years ago when I was in small business and I never had enough time, and lots of issues, and even when I went on holiday I was interrupted. I remember, I was it. I did the orders, I had to do the customer interface, I had to hire staff, fire staff, everything, and it was very stressful to be able to all the time be, running a small business. I never had time. It's ridiculous. Like looking back, never had time to educate myself into how to create wealth. You have the time to go and sit down like tonight and come to a seminar or go to a course and learn, so that I could then apply my learning, so that I could create passive income. And I knew that was what was missing in my life. So I've got a few wisdoms that really changed my life. Want to hear them?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Somebody goes to me, goes, Dan, are you too busy earning a living instead of designing a life? Pretty good? Really confronting, eh? He goes, are you too busy earning a living instead of designing a life? And I thought, wow, like, you're right, all I'm doing is working too hard. Another one goes to me, you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. And that really impacted me as well. Because I thought, well, I want more time, I want to have more time. And so that's when I decided that I would keep educating myself and learn more. That's when I began to do more and more courses. Also, another one that came up was, is money your servant or is money your master? Right? Because if you're constantly having to work a lot, or worrying about money, or worrying about bills, then money's become your master. And I made a decision, I wanted money to be my servant. I wanted to work for me and be one of my, call it my employee. So I want to encourage you to be very wary of your language and how you think. Get more knowledge, surround yourself with the right people, including various consultants that we mentioned before, part of your team. Start creating a team around you. Perhaps get a mentor to help you in property if you're not sure. You alone can do it, but you cannot do it alone. What I'd like you to do is measure yourself in 3 months' time. Say, what have you done? Really write down what you want to do and see if you've done it in 3 months. And if you haven't done it, then you've got to change what you're doing, because it ain't going to work. And then a year will go by, 2 years will go by, 5 years will go by, and nothing will happen. So be honest with yourself. You know what you've got to do. The next 3 months, you need to become an area specialist. You need to put time. You need to talk to agents. You need to visit councils. You need to visit open inspections. You need to understand what can be done in your area, and dedicate a certain amount of time every week to do it. And if you're not doing it, then get someone to hold you accountable, because things aren't going to change. The last 5 years came around pretty quick, didn't it? Yeah? The last 10 years came down pretty quick. The next 10 are also going to come by very quick. But wouldn't you like to be, in 5 years or 10 years' time, in a position where you have the wealth to do the things you want to do? Yeah? The only difference, honestly, between what's going to happen to you between now and that 5 or 10 year period is the books and courses you do, the people you meet, and the action you take. That's the only difference. The books and courses that you do, the people you meet, and the action you take. So in 5 or 10 years' time, if you are living the way you want to live, and whatever that means, it might mean having passive income, yes. It might mean holiday, it might be having luxuries, whatever it is, yes, you say that. It's because of those reasons that it will happen. But if it's not happening, it's because you haven't done one of those things. And you're in control of your destiny. You're totally in control of what happens in the next 5 or 10 years with respect to your wealth. And so I encourage you to keep moving forward. I realise that constant re-immersion. Tonight has been it's a short course in some strategic knowledge about subdivision and a little bit of shifting your mindset. But really, what gets you to change is constantly re-immersing yourself, constantly being in environments of change, constantly educated, constant. And then all of a sudden you change, right? You suddenly get it and you begin to take action. And so there's only one measure, and I encourage you that in years to come, it's going to be results. That's the only measure you ever. You know, when somebody once said to me, what do you want to be at the end of your life? Do you want to be an example, or do you want to be a warning? That hit me hard. Oh, I kept thinking of my kids. I want to be an example. I want to be a warning for the kids. You know, like I want them to be proud of their dad. So I'm going to obviously let you know about our course. We've got an introductory evening if you want to find out more about the course. The course we run is called Real Estate Riches. It's a course that's designed to teach you how to create wealth. Subdivision, yes, you do more about subdivision, and we have various teachers. We've got town planners, accountants, building inspectors, past students, all sorts of people that come into the course. It's a 5-night course, and you learn from these specialist teachers. You get obviously a manual, and we spend 3 hours a night for 5 weeks. And then you have another level of knowledge for you to go out and explore creating wealth in real estate. Now, you know, I remember a gentleman, you know, a couple of years ago, a young man, and he was back in his 20s, and he did the course, and he got some coaching as well. And I remember him purchasing a property, and it was in Blair Athol, and at the time, I mean, he just focused in the area, he just got to know it. And he picked up a property, and I've got some numbers here. He paid $278,000 for that property, and over a 2-year period, with his subdivision, he's created about $170,000 in equity, which is just phenomenal. I mean, we're talking about a young man, probably 27 years old, and I've projected if he holds those 2 properties over a 10-year period, he would eventually have some incredible amount, like $860,000 in wealth. So that's an extremely profitable case. However, there are many cases like that out there. So my encouragement to you is continue this journey of subdividing property. Who would like a copy? I mean, of As a Man Thinketh. Does everybody want a copy? If anybody doesn't want, we won't give you one. But if you want a copy, As a Man Thinketh, you want to hand them out, Sarah, whoever wants a copy. With that, we've got a brochure of our course, and you're welcome to read that course. You're welcome to come to the intro night. If you would like to enrol, the course is $1,980 over 5 nights. The intro course is $28. You can come that evening. And you can bring a friend for free. And so some of the things that you'll learn at the Real Estate Riches course is more on subdivision, consolidation, and changing zones, and how you create wealth. And the other things you'll learn is about rejuvenation, additions and extensions, and building course. And if you want to book now, price is $19.98. And we normally give a 24-hour, have a think overnight, whole day. The reason we do that is most people either make a decision straight away, I'm doing it, or they make a decision within 24 hours. Once 24 hours pass, you don't really decide to do this. It's normally that period. So if you decide to come along, we'd love to have you there. But what I'll do is, I want to now just, so have you handed it out? Sarah, yeah. Just hand them out, maybe hand them out to people as they're sitting. Yeah, that'd be great. I want to just go around the room and answer any further questions, because we've still got another 15 minutes. And has anyone got any questions at all? And I'll do my best. Yes, sir.
Do you tend to focus on hammerhead, because that's more profitable?
Yeah.
What about just the
okay. Straight? Yeah. That's a good question. I've also done other ones as well. I'll give you an example. I've done a few of them where you buy a house and you knock down and you build 2. Look, my experience, and it could just be my own personal issue with it, they haven't been as profitable. You still make some money, but they haven't been as profitable. So you buy a house, and sometimes depends on the frontage, okay? So what do you think are some of the criteria you look at when you're looking at a house and you want to knock it down and build 2? What do you think are some of the criteria you look at? Yeah, frontage. Why is that? Why do you... Sorry?
It's going to be council.
Yeah, the council generally will say X metres per frontage. And most councils, and you need to check this, 7.5 metres plus. Now, if I'm doing something with not getting a house and knocking down building 2, I'd like to have at least a 20 metre frontage. Why would I want to do at least 20? What do you think? Yeah, double garaging, yeah. Because when you have double garaging, do you get more or less money? More, yeah. 20, 30,000 more, so you get more money for having a double garage. So I like, if I'm going to do something like get an old home, knock it down, and build 2, I like to have 20 metres. The one I showed up there wasn't. It wasn't. It was actually an old home, and I had another property next to it. I was going to do something different with it, but then the feasibility wasn't as good, so I knocked it down and built 2. But generally, I recommend you have a 20 metre plus frontage, and you knock it down, and now you know you're going to have 2 double garages. And of course, you check with the council criteria, because you need to make if it's 350 square metres per allotment. Say the council says it's got to be 350 square metres for a detached dwelling. Detached means separate, right? 350 detached. So what does this minimum need to be square metres? 700. Yeah, minimum. Yeah. So if you buy some 800, say you have 800 square metres with a 20 metre frontage, would that be good for building 2? Yes. Yes. It ticks the boxes. Yeah. So I've done situations where you do that. The other thing I've done is a bigger block. It was about I think it was 11 or 1200 square metres, and built some townhouses. So built 4 homes, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, right? So that was very good. So I had a driveway here, and then garaging and 2-storey townhouses.
What's the minimum? So what's the minimum you've been able to do in that situation with your drive on the side?
This one here was 300. I think it was 300. About 300.
Sorry, beside the width of your drive, the width of the access. The width.
Oh, the width. Generally, the width. Most councils have at least 5 metres. You've got to check at least 5 metres. Generally.
So those are the small ones that you showed us when you renovated the front.
Yeah.
To build out the back of 5 metres.
Generally, it's 5. One of them was about 3.5.
Right.
I sort of negotiated. My town plan negotiated. That's what I mean. Look, these rules are set by the council, but sometimes when you meet a lot of their criteria and you miss on one, you can negotiate on that, and they bend it a bit and they allow it to go through. But don't count on that.
No.
But yeah, I've had driveways go through 3.5 because I met all the other criteria, and they've given me like a concession to let it go through.
What's the rule with bulldozing
Cost. It depends if it's an old fibre or wooden type, then obviously it'll be a lot cheaper. But I haven't bulldozed anything in the last couple of years. Has anyone bulldozed anything? Any houses? 10 grand? Yeah. That's what it was a couple of years ago. 10 grand.
After in it, asbestos.
Oh yes. Years ago, yes, I remember I had an asbestos, and that costs another 5 grand to do it properly. Yeah, be careful, asbestos in old properties.
As part of the team, you say you have a builder.
Yes.
You've obviously got a higher builder now. Who do you
I prefer not to share those. The reason I don't share those names here is because I need to get their permission, because like the town planner is the builder, they're very busy. And if I get a name, everyone starts ringing them just for advice I need to respect their names and phone numbers. But what I do, they do come and present at our course, like a town planner, and he then gives his card out willingly. But yeah, if you'd like someone, you may email me and I can ask them. You just email me standard style results if you'd like, and then I can flip that on to them and then let them contact you. Yeah, if that's okay. Yeah, just email me and I'm happy to flip it on. So, what are the questions? I also have in here, which I didn't go through, now, there was another situation where there was a property that I was looking at, and I didn't end up buying it. I made an offer, but my offer wasn't accepted. And it's example discussions with private consultant on potential acquisition. Okay? Discussions with private consultant on potential acquisitions. And this particular site was a good site. It was 3,350 square metres. And the proposal was to get between 10 and 11 dwellings. There was a significant tree there, I needed to be very wary about. And so we created two options. And option one was 10 dwellings, consisting of 7 single garage, single story detached dwelling, 3 brick dwellings. And the problem we had with 3 of those group dwellings was there was a variable with a tree. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get rid of that tree. And option 2 was the lower risk option. And has anyone heard about the residential code? There's a code where if you tick all the boxes, you can zip it through within a few days. You get approval. And that was my second option. In the end, I made a conservative offer and I didn't get it. And somebody else made a higher offer. Whoops. A higher offer, and they had some conditions and they're currently in the contract. But it's so important for you to be very careful when you make an offer, to really know your numbers. Please don't guess. You've got to be very careful when you make an offer.
I suppose it's not gambling,
Yeah. It is gambling if you don't do feasibility, if you don't cost it correctly. It is gambling. But when you do cost it correctly, it's really minimal risk. Really, it's minimal risk. It's actually, you generate money. Yes?
Sorry, this might be a bit silly, but...
No, there's never a silly question.
Who on your team helps you decide the size and consequently the division of the land? For example, the land that you have there that you put 4 dwellings on. Who gave you the idea of 300 square metres each, or 1 400 square metres and maybe 1 300?
Okay.
Who do you go to?
This comes, sorry, this one, yeah. It comes from understanding your area. I get the idea first. I'm the one who said, oh, that's going to work. I reckon I'll get 3 of them or 4 of them. I reckon I'll make, do my numbers really quick. Like, I reckon I'll make that much. And then what I do is I get my consultant to confirm that I can do it. Yeah. So you should know. Yeah. No one's going to make money. You're the one who makes the money. And remember that the money you make is in the idea, in the finding that deal that will work. So I find it and I do my numbers and I go, wow. Well, obviously I double check with the council, town planner, and he says, yeah, that's feasible. We can do that. And then I go to my consultant.
But I'm seeing here in this one with discussions with private consultant that you had here option 1, that 3 group dwellings need to be carefully designed around the tree. Now that would take someone that's got expertise to do
Yes,
that.
yes, yeah. That was the risky part. I didn't want to take that risk, so I went with the second one and priced it according to that. And I didn't get it, but it doesn't matter. I don't want to do something for no money or lose money. I'd rather pick up a deal where I can make a good wealth out of it.
So who was your private consultant? What title does that have?
Oh, okay. Sometimes it's a town planner. Sometimes it's my negotiator. Sometimes it's my builder. So I sort of know which one to use for the really complex stuff. I'll get my town planner. He's normally the one that helps me. But sometimes it's both. I'll go to a site and I'm not sure, and I'll bring them both there. I'll bring my town planner and my negotiator because he's got great property knowledge as well. I've had situations where I bring all 3: town planner, negotiator, and my builder. Okay, guys, what can I do with this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I make
Do you have time to do all this before an offer goes in? I mean, presumably other people are interested in property at the
Yeah. I mean, most people, believe it or not, do not do diligence. I don't know what you guys have experienced, but I reckon maybe 10 or 20% of people actually do it properly. So that's my policy. I want to do the numbers correctly. I'll do the numbers myself, and I'll bring somebody from my team to help me make sure it's correct before I make an offer. There is time. Look, when the market is going crazy, when it's booming, you probably might miss out on a deal. But it's better to miss out than to buy something that you regret. Yeah. The other thing you can do is, if you're not sure, and I've done this before as well, is if you sense there's a bit of competition, you buy it how much you think. You do your own feasibility, and you have it obviously like a for sale contract, private treaty contract. And then during the calling off, I bring in the consultant, and then I decide to buy or call off based on the confirmation. And I actually did a deal where, that reminds me, where I did that, and during the calling off period, I got my consultant, and there was some trees, and the agent had told me there was 3 significant trees close to the building, and then there was, lucky I brought my consultant, because when I brought him in during the calling off, we discovered another one, and so I called off, and I told the agent, look, I thought it was this, but it's this, I'm going to call off, and I actually resubmitted an offer a month later, and I bought it for $200,000 less. So yeah, so that was good. So that consultant now has funded himself for the rest of my life. The way I look at it, I can employ him the rest of my life, and he's paid for himself. Yeah. So during the calling off is another way to get out. Yeah.
Do you have a trick for keeping track of all of this?
Yes, actually I've got it here. I mean, it's a very simple system. Sorry, that's a good question. But my goal is I never spend more than an hour a week. I know it sounds big, because I also run a number of businesses around the country. So I have a sheet there like this one, where I get a report once a month. This is my, what's it called, outsourcing management to a builder. My builder helps me run a number of things, and he gives me a quick summary of how each project is going, and we catch up. I've also got a similar sheet, I haven't got it with the property manager. She gives me a report every month on each property, and if there's any repairs that are required and all that sort of stuff. So I'll get a report from the property manager as well. So I like to leverage my time and utilise expertise of other people and on the team. So that makes me I just do the thinking and the strategising and the decisions. That's because that's where most of the money is. So I don't do the groundwork. Does that make sense?
Sorry, do you have a feasibility checklist of things that we need to?
I've given you an example here. There's one here, feasibility study. Yeah. That's a good checklist.
That's pretty much covers everything.
Yeah. There's another checklist here. I've put development checklist. That's also good as well. For you know, when you see a site, actually it's a great one to look at. What size is the land? Is the size flat or is it a slope? Why do you want to know that? It's a slope. Why do you want to know if it's a slope? Yeah, you might fill it in, you might do retaining walls, you might do some sorts of things, right? What is the orientation? Is it north face, etc.? What's going to fit there? What will the planning codes allow? Right, so you need to know what will be allowed in that area. Are there trees? Where are the services? How will my development affect street character? The more you keep it in line with the character of the street, the more likely the councils like it. This is how you keep homes as well, as we mentioned earlier. And it's got inquiries of the local city council with the senior planner, what guidelines are there, what similar developments taken place recently. And I always ask the question, what's been rejected? Because now you know what not to do as well. How long does it take to get a permit? How can the planner recommend? I don't do that one, can the planner recommend? I used to, where you ask them, if you think a site is a bit difficult, you ask them who they like using, and you get that person, and they like using them, they like that architect. But I don't do that. But you can do it if you find it's going to be difficult. What are the feasibility? What do the numbers say? And what's my best and worst case scenario? What profit margins do I need to allow? What's the upper limit? And then develop your upper limit of your purchase, so you know you can't go past that price. So if it's an auction, that's it. Land acquisition, how is the site to be acquired? How long can I make settlement, etc. And then structures with your accountant will help you decide what structure is best. So a typical development checklist. So when you see a site, there's a bit of a checklist there for you. We cover that more in our extensive course, but the basics are there to get out there and purchase property and add value to it.
Have you done many option agreements?
I haven't done many. I did one. Let me think. I remember one option agreement I did where the person next door to me. It was actually a commercial property. The person next door wanted to sell. They couldn't sell, so I made them a $1 option that I'd buy it at a set price within 5 years. But in the meantime, I'd rent it off him as car parking. And so after about 2 or 3 years, the value went up a lot. So I exercised my option and I actually bought it without any money because the value had gone up. So I just funded it that way. So I didn't put any money in. So that's. Oh, another option I've done. Sorry, another one. It wasn't. No, this was vendor finance. Sorry, isn't it? Anyone done vendor finance? That's good too. More useful to do in when the market is not good, or when someone's having difficulty selling something. You can actually get them to leave some equity in, and you put less money in, and then pay them off in a couple of years' time. I've done that before as well. Vendor financing. So options, yeah, done option. Vendor financing is a way of financing. Good question. Yeah.
Do you see them as favourable options?
Options, again, I think my experience has been with options, you need to devote a fair bit of time because not everybody is educated to understand an option, particularly residential property, but you can do it. I know people that, for example, option is very good for consolidating property. Like say, for example, I've got this property and I need that one and that one and that one, put it all together to then cut it all up. And options work very well there. So you go to this person, I'll give you more than it's worth, but I'll give you some money, like $1,000 for an option or $100. You sign this document and give me 6 months or 12 months to be able to exercise my option. Does anyone know what an option is? We discussed it in our course. An option is you have like the right to purchase a property, but you don't you haven't paid for it. You've only paid an option fee.
No obligation.
And sorry, you're not obligated. You've got a right, but no obligation. Yeah, you can pull out. So you have a period of time. It might be 6 months, a year, 5 years. You have a period of time of giving you a bit of money. He signed a document. I can now buy it at a certain price. And normally with an option, you offer a bit more than it's worth.
Can they pull out as well?
Generally, no. The option agreement is good. It should allow them to get out.
So that's not anyone else coming in?
Yeah. It depends how it's constructed, the option agreement, but generally it's designed to protect you because the reason you buy an option, and you might pay $100, $1,000, I mean, I would ideally pay $1, but whatever it's necessary. You buy the option because you need to have time to do something with it, to add value, right? So it might be that you're consolidating, you got an option on this property, this one, and this one, then you get 4, and you go to the council and say, can I do this with that? And the council says yes, then you go back and exercise all the options and give them all their money. Because now you've got your approval and you know you've made X dollars. Yeah. So
the council says, sorry.
then you just pull out, so I can't exercise my option, you keep my option fee, whatever that was, they keep it. And that's good for them, they keep it. Yeah. So options, I don't do much of it. Amanda does teach at the course, and we've got an option agreement that's valid for SA that is something you can use if you do the course. Yeah, that option agreement. How much is it worth, Amanda? $6,500. So make sure you've got a good agreement. You don't want to go do all that work and then you come and then they pull out or go and sell it to somebody else. That would be unfortunate for that time you put in. My perception of options is yes, you can do them, but they are time consuming. But if you've got time to put together deals. Excellent. Wonderful. Shall we go home? Good to see you. see you all. Nice to meet you all. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you take some value home, and if you would like to come along to our evening, come along. I'd like to have a course. I'd like to see you there.